Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Well, good evening, everybody. How are we? Yes, good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, hello. How are we doing? How are we doing? All right, everyone. Yo, go on then. There you go. Yes, all right. All right, we've got a show to do. We've got a show to do. Oh, fantastic stuff. Well, thank you very much to everyone who's made the journey to be here. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight.
You came over on a small boat. Am I right about that?
Yeah. So the BBC is engulfed in scandal again. Why were small boat migrants planted in the Question Time audience? Plus?
It's been a Labour stronghold, and I think they've let the people down. You know, I think they've left the people down badly.
Yes, so I went to Merthyr Tydfil in Wales. Thank you very much to the people of Merthyr Tydfil. Had a great time there, but it seems like Labour have lost their working class roots and...
Spending £400 million on a plan not to get anybody to Rwanda. It's not a plan, it's a farce.
Well, it's Sir Keir Starmer reviving the Rwanda plan, but this time sending migrants to North Macedonia. Has anyone been to North Macedonia? No? No one's ever been to. I was hoping one person might say it's lovely or something, no, but anyway, turns out we're going to send a load of people there. Anyway, we've also got this.
And to see what happened in Europe with the immigration. Europe is not the same place. I can't say every place, but pretty much almost every place. There are a couple of places.
And President Trump says that Europe is facing a civilizational erasure. That is as Germany votes to bring back military service. Do we think are we in favour of military service or not? No? Yes. Oh, good mix, a good mix. That's going to be fun. Anyway, we need it because it looks like we might go to war with Russia. Plus...
Very early, and it has hit us extremely hard.
Masks are back. You're being told to wear masks this flu season, apparently. Anyone, will you comply with the mask wearing? No. Had enough. You know, it's interesting, actually, because at the time of COVID, if you'd have said that on air, you'd have got into a lot of trouble, but no, we've moved on. Anyway, also going to be talking about this.
It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go.
And making new ones.
It's a Christmas miracle. Royal reconciliation. Meghan Markle has reached out to her father, apparently. Apparently they have spoken. Sadly, he's just had his leg amputated in the Philippines. On my panel tonight, we have got Labour MP Barry Gardiner. Oh, no. Right, that is the worst one yet, all right? That is the worst one yet. It's really unfair. You know what the thing is? Everyone always leaves. They're like, oh, Barry's nice, isn't he? Yeah. Right, anyway, right, then we've got journalist and commentator Linda Jubilee. We have got broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. And we've got Reform Councillor Russell Quirk. It's a shout for loudest audience ever tonight. It's good. Anyway, get ready, Britain. Here we go. So the BBC likes illegal migrants so much they've started sticking them in the Question Time audience. Next.
Patrick, thank you very much. Some breaking news. As you've just heard, this hour, a spokesperson for the Duchess of Sussex has told GB News, I can confirm she has reached out to her father. Well, she's reached out to her estranged father, Thomas Markle, after reports he had his leg amputated following surgery in the Philippines. Meghan has been estranged from her father since her 2018 wedding after he was caught staging paparazzi photos in the run-up to the big day. Number 10 has dismissed David Lammy's suggestions that it could be beneficial for the UK to look at rejoining or forming a new customs union with the EU. The Deputy Prime Minister argued leaving the European Union badly damaged the UK economy and rejoining the EU customs union would boost economic growth. His comments echo similar arguments from the Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who said that Labour should undo the economic damage done by Brexit. Reform UK's Zia Youssef has criticised the BBC after the broadcaster invited multiple asylum seekers to sit in on Question Time's immigration special. The debate episode was filmed in Dover on the front line of Britain's migrant crisis. Speaking to GB News after the show, Mr Youssef said he couldn't believe what he was witnessing.
Were two illegal migrants who come originally by small boat. As you can see, the BBC were very open about that. How on earth it can be deemed appropriate that people who broke into this country illegally should have a seat at the table in a political discussion about immigration, about illegal immigration on a BBC immigration special is so bewildering.
A BBC spokesman told GB News all the parties represented on the panel were told the day before the show that there would be people in the audience who had been through the asylum system. Elsewhere, the government has unveiled their new child poverty strategy, promising all children a good start in life, but critics say it could do more. The plan pledges to stop children growing up in B&Bs and to make childcare more accessible for families on universal credit. The measures are designed to lift 500,000 children out of poverty by 2030, but charities have been hoping for a 10-year strategy and argue the plan lacks ambition. And in sport, England play Croatia, Panama and Ghana in next year's World Cup group stage. That game to take place in Toronto or Dallas. The Three Lions lost to Croatia in the semi-final of the 2018 World Cup. And Scotland's first two opponents will be Brazil, Morocco and Haiti in Group C. The Tartan Army making their first World Cup appearance since 1998. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was given FIFA's new Peace Prize at the World Cup draw. World Football's governing body said it would be given to individuals who have taken exceptional and extraordinary actions for peace. And those are the latest headlines for now. It's over to Patrick.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Thank you very much to everyone who's made the journey to be here tonight. So, the BBC loves illegal immigrants so much it started putting them in the Question Time audience. Take a look at this.
Ashraf, where are you sitting? Ashraf, there you are. Can you just... So you came over from Afghanistan on a small boat in the last 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yes, I come from Afghanistan.
So...
Right, so, yes, that bloke broke into Britain on a small boat. But he wasn't the only one.
You came over on a small boat. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Right, and the BBC's Fiona Bruce was pretty proud of having all these small boat migrants in the audience. In fact, she actually revealed that the BBC went looking for them.
I mean, since we were talking about immigration in this programme today, we thought, and we would be talking about people like you, we would see if there were, 2 or 3, 4 people who wanted to come along who are in that situation.
Yeah, just nipped down the local migrant hotel. Said, fancy, you ever heard of Question Time, lads? Fancy popping in? We're doing a special on you today. Anyway, I'm surprised that the BBC hasn't offered them an internship. I mean, how long is it before we have jobs at the BBC that are only open to illegal migrants? But one of our Iranian friends seemed very knowledgeable about the ECHR.
Let me say something first. I just want to clear that leaving the convention doesn't just affect the migrants in Northern Ireland and damage our security cooperation.
Yeah, OK. I'm pretty suspicious about how he managed to brush up on the Northern Ireland Protocol shortly before he went on telly, I'll be honest with you. But anyway, look, I'm sorry, mate. You don't get to break into my country and then lecture us about what we should and should not be doing here with our laws. I wonder if this is a new low for the BBC. Let's get the views of my panel, get the views of the audience. As ever, just wave frantically if you want to say something. If you get so angry that you can't contain yourselves and you need to get the microphone, we'll get it to you. But Russell, I'll start with you. What do you make of the BBC planting illegal migrants in the in the crowd?
Literally unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, it's one scandal at the BBC after another, and it also adds to the list of incentives, doesn't it, for illegal migrants to come over? You know, 3- and 4-star hotels, flat screen telly, 3 meals a day, trampoline lessons, and a little slot on the BBC if you fancy it. Wow. Look, and I think Zia said it very, very well this morning in his kind of response to this, particularly, you know, in the cold light of day, as Patrick said, that they actually went out to find these people. I think we should also ask the question, did they pay them? Can you imagine if they paid them?
Expenses.
Sorry, they paid them.
Yeah, expenses.
But you can't provide money to asylum seekers. That's illegal. Outside of the government expense.
I think they are now. So, oh, look, I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that they are now. They've been accepted. They've been approved as asylum for asylum. So I think presumably in that case you can.
Right. So they're no longer in the process.
No.
They've come out the other side. And of course, most asylum seekers do get asylum granted. Look, I think the fact that these people have come here illegally and have been rewarded by being paraded on television. I mean, what next? I mean, murderers, paedophiles on Question Time and Newsnight. I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, what? Oh, I was joking there somewhere about the BBC.
Careful.
I
didn't just mean the people that work there.
It was right there. I saw my career flash before my eyes. No, I'm not going to do that, actually.
Your lawyers saw their career flash before their eyes.
Oh, we're going to have to get it out in the break. Anyway, right. Sir, you've got a point to make, I believe, on the front row here, have you? Would you like to say it? What is it?
No, I did just wonder initially, do these people apply to go on? Have you got illegal immigrants applying to go on to the BBC to ask questions, or is it the other way around? But I've just seen there that the BBC actually went out and looks for them. Now, the BBC is forever saying about the neutral nature of their audience, and we notice this a lot when Nigel and people from Reform and other right-wing parties are on the panel. Typically, they say it's a balanced audience, but I think it clearly shows the audience is exactly who they want the audience to be, and so it's balanced only to the mind of the BBC.
All right, interesting. Got a good point, sir. Thank you very, very much. So, Linda, your views on the planting of two asylum seekers?
So I must say that when I look at the boats coming ashore and I sort of scrutinise all these men coming in on the inflatables, I'm itching to ask them, why are you doing this? Why are you coming into my country when you know that a lot of people don't welcome you here? Now, some do, some don't. But I must say that I would have welcomed the opportunity to ask some questions, sure. They may not have been nice questions, they may not have welcomed me with open arms, but actually, I would have liked the opportunity to question them.
OK, all right, fair enough. Christo, I thought that it was quite interesting that the guy rattled off all this stuff about the ETHR and the Northern Ireland Protocol.
Quite the expert.
But we finally found our constitutional expert on the Good Friday Agreement. I mean, who knew he would be in Iran? I think that, I mean, there has been a lot, you're right, to talk about the fact that there's been a lot said about whether migrants have a propensity for being inappropriate when it comes to you know, sexual crimes. And so I think it's really good that the BBC takes those sorts of things so seriously, and that there would be no chance of anything happening there, because, of course, they don't have a history of that, do they? Now, I think we found the perfect solution, actually, to stop the small boat crisis. We just tell them when they land at Dover, you're going to have to go on Question Time. Yeah. I'm really sorry, but that is going to be what happens when you come to the UK. Look, I actually agree with Linda on this. I'm sorry, I think that if you're going to have a debate about immigration, it's not unreasonable to have some people who've come on small boats within that debate. Now, I do think it was wrong that they didn't tell the panel long enough before, and I also think it would have been better if they had on that panel not on the panel, but in the audience, you know, some of the people who perhaps protested outside of the hotels, some of the, you know, we've had the Pink Lady on this show.
Okay.
I think that actually to counterbalance the fact you've got migrants in the audience, you have them as well. You invite those people on.
But that would be balanced from the BBC, which you never see. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't have a problem with hearing from them.
Let's bring Barry in. Barry, your views on this, really.
Listen, I'm just waiting for the day when GB News plants a few Labour voters in this audience. That's what I want, right?
There you go.
OK? Talking about balance in audiences. But, look...
There aren't any Labour voters left, Barry. You've tried to find them.
Yes, I'm sure, Christo. Look, first out, they weren't asylum seekers, they were refugees. That means they'd been accepted. Yeah, well, you go, but it's a genuine distinction. These people have been accepted as having had a legitimate claim. So, now, you may say I disagree with the courts, but that's what's happened. The court has tried their case, looked at it, and said, yeah, actually, these people are legit. Whether you agree with it or not, that's their status, OK? I think Linda's right. There are questions that they can answer. And actually, they did on the programme, because one of them said, when asked, well, you know, why Britain? He said, well, because I've tried, and you know, I know you're going to laugh. He said, because I've tried all these other countries, and they wanted nothing to do with us. But the answer to that is, a lot of other countries that they tried, and I won't rehearse which ones they were, don't operate a legitimate system, a legitimate court system, which tests whether they have a genuine fear of persecution in their country of origin. We do. And when people are coming from Iran, I think most people would accept that Iran is not a friendly state. It's, you know, creating all sorts of mayhem, not only in the Middle East, but also in supplying its drones to Russia. So if these people are coming as dissidents from Iran, if they're coming from places like Afghanistan, where women are not allowed an education, where people, you know, women are treated in the most appalling fashion.
So, can I just say, Barry, if that's the case, why not welcome? Barry, if that's the case, why are there no women coming over on the boats?
The reason, no, it's. There's a very good reason for that, and it's this. Because the journey is incredibly dangerous and arduous, and actually the men come on that journey because at the end of it, they then are able, under international law, to say, we will
really, Barry? Really, Barry?
Yeah.
This is a bit of a Disney tale, isn't it? This
I've
really,
done some things that have really wound
I think Emily would be OK. I actually think Emily would be fine.
She should probably be quite happy to see the back of me, actually. But I mean, it's like I've done some things in life that have really wound Emily up. But I think leaving her on her own in a war zone,
and she can't drive or operate machinery or anything, so she can't look after herself.
A bridge too far.
Also, I think that it is true that men are stronger, but I've actually interviewed a mother and two small children. She called it the peep, and I couldn't work it out for a long time. It's the pipe. That's their name. It's Albanian. That's what they call the boat, the peep. And she came over with two small children. So it's not unheard of.
No, it's not.
Women and small children come over. But let me just say one thing. When I did, I sometimes talk about it, a programme where I taught English to asylum seekers and refugees, I spoke to an Iranian mother and daughter, and I said, you know, why do you come, just out of interest, because I was getting a little bit tense, why do you come here? And she said, well, because it's comfortable and it's nice and we can speak English. Very clever, both academics, very clever. And I said to her, well, who do you think pays for this? Who do you think pays for you? And she said, well, the government. And I said, and where do you think the government gets the money from? And she said, well, they just have government money, don't they? There was not a single line of logic which led her to see that we paid for them.
Yes, quite.
What's it called, the thing they come over on?
The peep. That's Albanians.
So they come on the peep and then they end up on pip.
The pipe.
But, you know, I'll say is when the gentleman last night from Afghanistan was asked about why did you leave your wife behind, he didn't actually answer that question. He did then go on to say, well, I didn't like Afghanistan, and Afghanistan was a terrible place. He didn't actually directly answer why he left his wife behind, which I thought was, I don't know whether he didn't understand the question or he deliberately.
I have a lot of Afghani citizens in my own constituency, and as Linda says, many of them are incredibly highly qualified. Judges,
Iranians,
women...
more than Afghanistan.
Well, the Iranians are very highly educated.
I agree.
But we have a number of Afghan women in my constituency who were, judges in Afghanistan. They were senior medics in Afghanistan. They're desperate to contribute to our society, and many of them ultimately don't understand why we let them down by, for 20 years, changing that horrible structure where women were oppressed for so long. And then we just walked out and left them to cope with the Taliban coming in, raping women. I have one case where a family... One girl threw herself off the roof of her house to commit suicide, and the other took poison to commit suicide because they were afraid that because the Taliban kept on coming to their door, and they were going to be taken away and raped.
Why would their husbands leave them there? Because
it was in that particular case, the husband was already here before the change happened.
Could have fought against the Taliban.
We did take tens of thousands of Afghanis that supported us in Afghanistan, interpreters and so on. So let's be fair to ourselves, I think.
Actually,
but also,
a lot of them were Uber drivers. They weren't
can I also just correct the record? The notion that someone travels through 6 countries, as one of those gentlemen did, and applies in all 6 of those countries and gets turned down for asylum. The simple reason as to why people come here is because we are a soft touch. Simple as that.
OK. All right. Look, on that note, we have got a statement here from a spokesperson from the BBC, question time specifically, actually. It says, as immigration continues to be a primary concern for people in the UK, Question Time had a special episode in Dover with panellists from across the political spectrum and a local audience with a range of views and experience. It wasn't that local, was it? But anyway, over 20 audience members asked questions and contributed to the debate, including 2 people with direct experience of the asylum system in the UK who've been granted refugee status. All the parties represented on the panel were told the day before the show that there will be people in the audience who had been through the asylum system. So there you go. Right, loads more to get stuck into.
So why did Zia Youssef say what he did?
Yeah.
Because
I think he just denies that they told him, basically. He just says they didn't tell me.
So is Zia Youssef lying or is the BBC lying?
Yeah.
Well, again,
let me think, because the BBC have got no record of dishonesty at all.
The asylum system is different to actually having come on a small boat, and I wonder whether he didn't know...
OK, sorry, we've got to wrap through because we've got loads to squeeze into, but it's time, of course, for the brand new Great British Giveaway. Fantastic. Right, it's loads of cash, basically. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. What would you say yes to? For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, so coming up, we've got a bit of this.
Labour are out. None of my friends are voting Labour.
Well, I went up to the Labour heartland of Merthyr Tydfil in Wales, where the Prime Minister and his government appear to have lost a lot of support. So I'm going to be asking, have Labour lost their working-class roots? That's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for everyone who's turned up. So far, we've got people from Leicester, Blackpool, a few other places as well.
From the north there.
From the north, Christys. It's not all one. It's not all just one, you know, thing. Yeah.
The north.
You know, it's a diverse area of people.
There's a line, not Watford.
There's about 5 different accents in the northwest alone. But anyway, right. Okay. So, sorry, what was that? We're good. We're good. Yeah. Right. Anyway, over the past 48 hours, I've been in Merthyr Tydfil in Wales, speaking to real people in their communities, and I spoke to so many people who told me that they feel as though they've been let down by Labour. Just a bit of context, really, is the reason why we were there. Obviously, it's been Labour for about 100 years. Keir Hardie, who's credited as being founder of the Labour Party, used to be the MP for that area. So it's, you know, it's kind of Labour, steeped in Labour history, isn't it? And it looks as though it's going to go potentially to reform. It'll be interesting to see how well Plaid do, though, don't they? Because I think that's the big unknown at the moment. But I spoke to Les, and he told us why people on the ground are feeling a little bit miffed.
If I was to start a bit about now, I think there'd be there's no confidence left in the towns, not only in Merthyr, throughout the valleys. They're so deprived now, and they've just been left in this area. As you say, it's been a Labour stronghold, and I think they've let the people down. You know, I think they've left the people down badly.
OK, all right, and let's just remind ourselves who it looks as though they are going to vote for as well. It looks like they're going to vote for reform. Let's have a look at this.
Back is inheritance tax, isn't it? And they brought it in. They promised that they wouldn't bring it in. We had lead-in politicians sat around our table, and they said, no, they will not touch inheritance tax. 3 months down the line, bang. And it's like they're giving nobody no time to adjust to it, especially the old and the terminally ill. Right. But I think the most disappointing thing was, like, the Labour MPs were told that they're not going to bring inheritance tax in. They won rural seats by telling lies. I'm not blaming the Labour MPs, but the hierarchy in the Labour place lied to us all. And I think that is totally unacceptable.
Absolutely. Just FYI, shortly after that interview, I stepped in the biggest cow pat I've ever stepped in my life. So there you go, the countryside. Anyway, right, has Labour lost touch then with its traditional voter base? Barry, I suppose to start with you on this, really. It was quite, I thought it was quite stark, actually. It was a bit sad. Yeah. But a lot of those people felt as though they hadn't really left the Labour Party had left them.
Sure. Now, look, I think Wales is a very interesting situation. They've had a Welsh Senate where there hasn't been a Labour majority in the Senate, but there's been a Conservative government for 14 years. And the decline in Wales has been real. And it's not just, I'm not just blaming the Conservative government, it's the change from an industrial manufacturing base to an economy that isn't geared around that. And that's been compounded with the austerity that's gone on for 14 years. So people are really feeling hard done by. I think, and we've got to understand that. Now, I would say that, there are things that Wales has got right in the Senate where there's been devolution. For example, last week I was pleased that we froze prescription charges. In Wales, prescription charges have been free since 2007, right? They've got a population of 3 million people in Wales. Do you know how many NHS appointments they do every month? They do 2.75 million appointments every month in their NHS. There's certain things that they have got right, but they haven't, because they haven't had the support of the government and they haven't had the money to get it right. I think they're really, really feeling the pinch, and inevitably that gets taken out in the ballot box.
All right, Russell, I'll bring you in on this. I mean, there were some things there that were pretty stark. The Hoover factory that closed there, 5,000 jobs gone, was going to be demolished. The last coal pit in Merthyr Tydfil closed in 2023. I think during its pomp, there was, I had a look at the figures yesterday, something like nearly 300,000 people in Wales who worked down the pits. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. Huge number of people. Do you know, has Labour lost that cohort of people, do you think?
Well, look, you yourself have just kind of demonstrated that that's the case. You've just visited a Labour heartland and interviewed a number of people that have said that as previous Labour voters, they're fed up with Labour, they don't think they're listening to them, and they think they've left them behind. And just to correct Barry, of course, we haven't forgotten Mark Drakeford, have we? He was the Labour First Minister of Wales for many, many years. So before we start blaming the government, and by the way, Barry, as a Labour MP, at some point in time, you're going to have to stop blaming previous governments and previous political parties. You are now in power, and you have been for 18 months. So you do now have to start taking responsibility, I think, for how people feel about the country, their society, their economy, and so on. But particularly in Wales,
I said there was a change in the industrial manufacturing
Wales
base.
was led by a Labour administration, which also had, by the way, the highest NHS waiting lists in the British Isles under Labour, poverty under Labour. But the wider point in terms of Labour and Britain, I think, is that the party now almost kind of resembles this, I don't know if you're fans of George Orwell, anybody in particular, Animal Farm, which is when you have the elite, which of course is the likes of Rachel Reeves, Keir Starmer and so on, the Islington elite, the recipients of Taylor Swift free boxes, concerts and gifts from Wahid Ali and so on, people that don't seem to want to pay their way and adhere to the rules. But at the same time, in a budget where they've left the working people behind, we've now got 10 million people that are going to pay more tax over the next 3 years because of the last budget. It's a party of benefit recipients and the public sector.
One of the things that stood out for me as well, is just to say, speaking to some of the locals there, is that net zero, they say, is an impact. We not maybe hurtle towards net zero. There might be more of a desire to dig up some of that coal that's still there. And they also said that they didn't really like that Wales, I think, has become a country of sanctuary. Well, there's a lot of people in the valleys who aren't necessarily happy about that because they feel as though, why are they...
Well, I live in a London borough of sanctuary, and... Good
for you.
Yes, I'm thrilled.
Nowhere else would have you. You had to live in a borough of sanctuary.
Yes, it's the only way I was accepted. But my local council is £1 billion in debt. There are housing lists, you know, that are so unbelievably long, and they still think that you can be a borough of sanctuary, which doesn't quite align. So I understand how Wales feel when it comes to that. But I think that Russell, you're right in as much as I think that I've written down here before I came on, upper class posing as working class, and that's what I think Labour's problem is. I think it's a wider problem with the political class in general, but they seem to... I think increasingly I seem to believe, and I don't know if it's true, and Barry, you know, I'm sorry to say this because I don't include you in this, but increasingly I seem to think that they actually loathe sort of working people. They're only interested in billionaires or those on benefits. If you aspire to do better, they hate you. If you aspire to have a bigger house, they'll tax you. If you're a white van man, you need to get to work, they'll restrict you. They'll give you 20-mile-an-hour limits. They'll bring in congestion charges. It's all stuff that isn't working with you, it's working against you.
So the question was, you know, has Labour lost touch? And let me just say that I trained as a journalist on the Western Mail in Cardiff, and my friend worked on the Merthyr Express, another one on the Pontypridd The Observer. There were a whole tranche of local newspapers there. And as far as I was only 19, and as far as I could work out, they were very, very solid, what you would imagine as archetypal Labour communities. I can tell you that when I started on the Western Mail, and as I said, I was 19, I worked with older photographers who were close to retirement, who had dug with their bare hands at Aberfan to get kids out. And these people are honest, decent, straightforward people. Now, my politics these days might be different to theirs, but I had real respect for them. And the problem is they do feel let down by Keir Starmer because they don't think that Keir Starmer is a good, honest Labour person. You only have to look at the results of the Caerphilly by-election to see that the Labour party was almost obliterated in that by-election. And Reform didn't actually win. It was Plaid Cymru that won that. But...
Close second. Close second.
It wasn't a close second.
400 votes to 12,000 in 3 years.
It wasn't a close second. I admit that Reform... I was on that night.
You did very well.
With Tom Harwood, so we can talk numbers later.
12,000 votes. 12,000 votes.
Okay. I think that Labour, you know, Labour has changed and it has lost touch with those communities.
OK. Well, look, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, by the way, look, I did speak to quite a few people there who, you know, said that were voting Labour. And kind of, it's a really interesting thing, actually, I thought. It was a different kind of Labour votes than you get a lot, I would say, in London. The kind of more old school, I think, really. The kind of person that you could actually have a pint with in a disagreement in a nice manner across the bar, as opposed to someone screaming at a megaphone down, calling you a fascist. You know, there weren't that many people like that up there, which was quite nice, actually. But sorry, very quickly.
I think actually the reason that Plaid have come second in the Caerphilly by-election and the way things are going in Wales is Labour voters still want to have what they see as basically a left-wing socialist party behind them. And that's why the vote goes to Plaid rather than to Reform.
Absolutely. Right. OK. Coming up. Right, who here is up for a little bit of military service?
Now?
OK. No, all right.
Right now?
All right, it's not right.
He'll be up for some military discipline.
And we're in the gutter. Right. Germany revives voluntary military service in a bid to bolster their defence against Russia. Should Britain follow suit? That's next.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Further wet and windy weather likely in Greece and Turkey during the course of the weekend. Some heavy downpours, particularly across southern parts of Turkey, extending into Cyprus. Also, as I mentioned, gusty winds. The breeze coming down from the north, bringing a cool feel to Italy, but should see plenty of sunshine here. Same goes for Mallorca and much of the east coast of Spain. If you want temperatures over 20 degrees, you need to be heading further south. Some fine warm conditions in the Canaries. Those heavy showers only slowly easing this weekend in Greece.
All All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. This weekend is looking unsettled with heavy downpours. The only good news is, though, it's staying relatively mild. That's because we've got southwesterly winds, but that is where the rain is coming from. So some very wet weather pushing into western areas through the rest of this evening, and that will move into the north and east overnight tonight, bringing some snow to the high ground of the Grampians. Elsewhere, though, a lot of rain. There will likely be quite a lot of water on the roads through your travel this evening and into tomorrow morning. Once the main rain band clears, that gives way to some heavy and blustery showers, and with strong winds overnight, temperatures will be holding up above freezing just about everywhere. But it does mean we are going to continue to see some further rainfall throughout Saturday. Some quite strong winds actually moving in across eastern areas of Scotland, and with the rain continuing to feed in, we could see some disruption here across eastern areas of Aberdeenshire. Further west, we've got some heavy showers across Northern England. Northern Ireland seeing a slightly drier day, but western areas of Wales, the south of Wales in particular, parts of Devon and Cornwall will see some quite gusty winds throughout Saturday. And these showers do bring a risk of hail and thunderstorms on Saturday. There will be some dry weather around, though, actually. Once the main rain clears actually in the north, much of Scotland will see relatively dry weather, and there will be some sunshine here and there across central areas. And as I said, it is on the milder side of things, 10 or 11 degrees. Some areas seeing 12 degrees actually through Saturday afternoon. So not too bad, but definitely a pretty unsettled weekend. A cold start, though, on Sunday morning, and then the next band of rain bringing another spell of heavy downpours throughout Sunday afternoon across the country, particularly actually this time across northern areas moves in. Now that will clear for some respite on Monday, but the next batch of wet and, for some of us, very windy weather arrives on Tuesday.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back. So, should we do military service? Germany's parliament has voted to revive voluntary military service in a move which has sparked protests across the country. From next year, all 18-year-old males will be sent a questionnaire asking whether they are interested and willing to join the armed forces. For women, the questionnaire will be voluntary, but mandatory for men. So you have to fill it in, is my understanding of it. The move is part of a push from Chancellor Friedrich Merz to strengthen national defence amid tensions with Russia. Well, Christys, this is right up your street, isn't it, mate?
I mean, you know, I'm not sure that I would... Yeah, I don't know why you're associating me with enjoying the military. Well, probably about 10% of them, to be honest. But no...
Just the sailors. Just sailors.
Yeah, you get it now. The penny dropped in the audience. Thank you. I was just wondering, it is just men, so I think that we're going to see a spike in the number of people identifying as women in Germany, firstly. I think that's going to happen. But certainly on a more serious point, I think that actually military service is a really good thing if a younger person wants to do it. And I do think it should be respected, and I do think a lot of employers should look at it and give young people a really, a plus point against their name if they do it. The thing is, though, that is a bit annoying about this is that no talk about equality now, is there? It's always going to be the young men that are going to be made to do this. It's going to be voluntary for the women. Well, sorry, but aren't we...
voluntary for everyone.
No, I thought it was a compulsory for the young.
Only to fill out the form.
Fill out the form. Well, yes, but I thought that if the numbers were too low,
then
they've said
they
that
might
they would then
change.
make it. There's the potential of making it compulsory. Are they going to make it compulsory for the women if the numbers are too low? I would argue no.
Well, probably not, I would have thought. Let's go to the audience now. There's a chap there with the microphone. Good to see you. What have you got a point on this national service stuff?
Yeah, I was in the army in Germany, Patrick. So I actually served there 5 years. I did my Northern Ireland training there, which set me up for getting over to Belfast, which is a subject we were on about a bit earlier. It integrated all NATO forces because you did manoeuvres in Germany which involved all nationalities, the Germans, the Dutch, the Belgians, everybody worked as a team. Even the Americans had PX bases which we integrated with and learned to work together. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's great for the youth of today. If you're going to have a defence force, they've all got to work together. So Germany is the best training ground you're ever going to get for it. But there is one question I'd like to ask. We seem to have integration pushed down our throat a lot by this country, that we should all work together, get along together. Wouldn't it be a great idea if all the boat people that came in had to go and do 12 months training with the military to represent this country on behalf of it, if that's what they're really coming on a goodwill for?
Can I just say that we talk in terms of this being a great sort of social services sort of exercise, good for young people. I do think that's true. But what I think we don't recognise sometimes enough is that this is the most dangerous period we are facing since the end of the Cold War. And there is a need to actually beef up our armed services. If you look across Europe, the Germans are doing it, the French have done it, Denmark already has it, Finland has it, Sweden has it. And at the end of the day, we have to get behind our military. And it's not just a question of recruitment, it is a question of giving them what they need for support. And that is the right accommodation, the right training, the right equipment and the right weapons. Because we have to do this right now to be unified with Europe and to actually stand firm against a threat from Putin.
Look, sorry about this. I've just got a little bit of breaking news to bring you. Just going to cut across what we were talking about there. An update now to the BBC story we were discussing earlier on. And Reform UK have apparently lodged an official complaint with the BBC for putting migrants who arrived in the UK illegally in the Question Time audience. In a letter to the BBC, Mr Youssef said, "This programme represented a serious failure of impartiality, editorial judgment and audience selection standards expected of the BBC." I'll just remind you of something the BBC did say earlier when we asked them for a statement. They said that there were people of all different political persuasions in that audience and on the panel, and that they had apparently told the panel that there were going to be asylum seekers in the audience. But Zia Youssef appears to be saying that is not the case. Anyway, right, look, sorry about this. We're going to have to whiz ourselves on. We can return to some of these topics in the next hour or so. Though. But coming up, we've got a bit of this.
Let the festivities commence and embrace the special touches that bring you joy.
Well, there's a royal reconciliation, actually, as GB News confirms that Meghan Markle has reached out to her estranged father the same week that her Christmas special has been universally panned. So we're going to be talking about all of that and much more. Any Meghan Markle fans in? I've been told I need to be nicer to Meghan Markle. Any Meghan Markle fans in? One at the back. Good lad, one at the back. All right, you love it. OK, all right, brilliant. We're going to give that one a microphone in a second. Don't go anywhere. All right.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you until 7.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here with GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
Will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
This Christmas, we are putting on a very special event for our viewers. On Saturday, the 13th of December, you are invited to join us for our Carols by Candlelight concert. For your chance to be with us, you can apply for tickets by scanning the QR code on screen right now or by going to gbnews.com/carols. The concert will be broadcast on Christmas Eve. But staying with this Christmas theme, Meghan Markle's new Christmas special has been universally panned on release this week. The timing hasn't been great for poor old Meghan. The news this week, her estranged father got his leg amputated in the Philippines. But never mind, of course, Meghan has still launched her new venture, a $12 as ever chocolate bar range. So there you are. With quirky flavours like white chocolate bar with flowers. She's used flipping flowers again.
She thinks edible flowers would solve absolutely
mad about
everything.
flowers.
She would sprinkle edible flowers over Israel and Gaza and think it would sort it all out. And that's why she thinks it's perfect. She wouldn't have them in Ukraine. She'd have them everywhere.
It's mad. Anyway, so that's one of the flavours. Right, OK. So, but it looks like a bit of family reconciliations on the cards. Right, is anyone actually going to watch this Meghan Markle thing? No? God. There's a gentleman at the back who likes Meghan.
I like her. Depends what's on.
I can't. Have we got a microphone? You don't want to be on? He's doing
No, I
it.
don't.
Yeah. All right, stand up, sir. Go on. Why do you like her?
They'll slag her off, but like, what's she done wrong, really? What has she actually done wrong?
She's
really?
incredibly irritating. That's what she is.
Well, so is Barry, but we still love him, don't we? Really, don't we?
Can I just say, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not my favourite person in the world, but she's good-looking, she's wealthy, and she's wealthy because she's a self-made millionaire, the only one in the royal family.
Self-made?
She gets up to do sun salutations at 5 in the morning. Doesn't make her a weirdo. She's working hard and she's doing OK.
She's not
I don't like my
self-made,
next-door
is she?
neighbour, but I, you know, I still
She married a
talk to him,
royal.
you know, so, really, you know.
She made millions.
She didn't make a load on Suits, but I'm sorry, if you make your money by throwing accusations of racism against our royal family while the Queen and Prince Philip are on their deathbed, I mean, literally...
I think she was by far the richest woman to join the royal family.
But that doesn't stop. Why did she need to do that? Why did she need to throw those accusations? And literally the Queen and Prince Philip were dying and then chose to leave the royal family to monetise
Well, you either
her
have free
title.
speech or you do not have free speech.
And so I've got the free speech to say that I think she's absolutely repentant. And
So did she.
And how many body parts does her father have to lose before she actually gets in touch with him? I'm sorry, but for years, that poor man, he had a stroke, he was on his deathbed, absolutely nothing. While she banged on television about the importance of family, she completely ignored him, and finally the poor man loses a leg, and she thinks, oh, I'll pick up the phone. She's awful.
Barry, actually, let me read this. Spokesperson for the Duchess of Sussex has told GB News, I can confirm that she has reached out to her father. Oh, right, great, OK. I thought
what does that mean?
Longer.
What does that mean?
GB News understands the Duchess of Sussex reached out to her estranged father. Good. Family reunification, Barry. A caring daughter. Nice thing. You don't really care about this, do you?
Look, it's always been a mystery to me how anyone can feel themselves honoured by the humiliation of a fellow human being. And constantly, this poor woman is used as a punching bag. I don't quite understand why. She's an actress. She made her money in that series Suits. It was quite a good series as far as I remember. I enjoyed watching it.
All right.
But let's leave the royals alone. I mean, we don't have to keep on...
All right. Look, to me, it's as simple as this. She's not only annoying, very irritating, but she's just not authentic, is she? And she's piggybacking the royal family to make money out of it, even though she's slagged off the royal family since she became part of it. I just don't think that's right.
OK. All right, well... yet again, grace from the local church. I hope you feel satisfied that I wasn't utterly vile about Meghan. She shouted at me at Christmas fair at the weekend, told me to be nicer to Meghan Markle. Anyway, there we go. Hope you're watching, Grace. Right, loads more coming your way. We are going to be talking about Rwanda 2.0. Rwanda, not good. North Macedonia, good. There we are. This is Keir Starmer's new plan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. This weekend is looking unsettled with heavy downpours. The only good news is, though, it's staying relatively mild. That's because we've got southwesterly winds, but that is where the rain is coming from. So some very wet weather pushing into western areas through the rest of this evening, and that will move into the north and east overnight tonight, bringing some snow to the high ground of the Grampians. Elsewhere, though, a lot of rain. There will likely be quite a lot of water on the roads through your travel this evening and into tomorrow morning. Once the main rain band clears, that gives way to some heavy and blustery showers, and with strong winds overnight, temperatures will be holding up above freezing just about everywhere. But it does mean we are going to continue to see some further rainfall throughout Saturday. Some quite strong winds actually moving in across eastern areas of Scotland, and with the rain continuing to feed in, we could see some disruption here across eastern areas of Aberdeenshire. Further west, we've got some heavy showers across northern England. Northern Ireland seeing a slightly drier day, but western areas of Wales, the south of Wales in particular, parts of Devon and Cornwall will see some quite gusty winds throughout Saturday. And these showers do bring a risk of hail and thunderstorms on Saturday. There will be some dry weather around, though, actually. Once the main rain clears actually in the north, much of Scotland will see relatively dry weather, and there will be some sunshine here and there across central areas. And as I said, it is on the milder side of things, 10 or 11 degrees. Some areas seeing 12 degrees actually through Saturday afternoon. So not too bad, but definitely a pretty unsettled weekend. A cold start, though, on Sunday morning, and then the next band of rain bringing another spell of heavy downpours throughout Sunday afternoon across the country, particularly actually this time across northern areas moves in. Now that will clear for some respite on Monday, but the next batch of wet and, for some of us, very windy weather arrives on Tuesday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdley, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Wow, good evening, everybody. Hello. How are we doing? Thank you, everyone, for coming. We've got people from all over. We've got Yasku at the back. Well done. Meghan Markle's biggest fan at the back there. Well done. All right, well, it's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
spending £400 million on a plan not to get anybody to Rwanda. It's not a plan. It's a farce.
Is Sir Keir Starmer reviving the Rwanda plan, but just this time sending migrants to North Macedonia?
It's been a Labour stronghold, and I think they've let the people down. You know, I think they've left the people down badly.
So is that why his government is becoming so unpopular in traditional Labour heartlands like Wales? And
heading to see what happened in Europe with the immigration. Europe is not the same place. I can't say every place, but pretty much almost every place. There are a couple of places.
President Trump says that Europe is facing civilizational erasure. That is as Germany votes to bring back military service to face up to Russia. Plus,
very early, and it has hit us extremely hard.
OK, right, and now, who's going to be masking up? Masking up, masks are back now. No, anti-maskers. We're all anti-maskers. Anyway, the reason I ask is because a super flu is sweeping through the UK, apparently. Are we going to see the return of mask wearing? On my panel this evening, we have got Labour MP Barry Gardner. It's got better. It is panto season after all. Anyway, right, we've got journalist and commentator Linda Jubilee. Broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas and Reform Councillor Russell Quirk. Plus.
Prize, this is your peace prize for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Well, thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life.
Look, OK, fine. So President Trump is the inaugural winner of the FIFA Peace Prize. OK, right, brilliant, well done. Why are FIFA giving out awards like that? Well, I think they're the UN or something. Just play football, honestly. Anyway, get ready, Britain. Here we go. Great, wasn't it? We're back. All right. Well, look, thank you very much, everybody. I'm joined by my live studio audience. So, do you remember when Sir Keir Starmer did this?
Britain can do better. Labour will do better. We will end this farce. We will restore serious government to our borders, tackle this problem at source, and replace the Rwanda policy permanently.
Yay! He scrapped Rwanda and he called it a gimmick.
We had a gimmick for a number of years called Rwanda.
The thing about that Rwanda scheme is they had that in place for 2.5 years and they sent 4 volunteers and it cost the taxpayer £700 million. So that just wasn't working in the slightest. It was a gimmick.
This is an expensive gimmick and it's a distraction from the real work that needs to take place.
Gimmick, gimmick, gimmick. It wasn't a deterrent. Oh, it wouldn't have worked. No chance, they say. But... North Macedonia. Step forward, North Macedonia. Starmer is now thinking of sending illegals to North Macedonia. No one's been for a long weekend in North Macedonia, anyone know? Got any plans to? No, you don't fancy it? Probably very nice this time of year, but there are some conditions, OK? So we will now also have to pay North Macedonia for every illegal migrant they accept, right? We're also going to have to pay for them to defend themselves against Russia, apparently. So the irony here is that Sir Keir Starmer cares about borders when it's somebody else's, of course, but our own border has been wide open for a few years now. The illegals will be allowed to work in North Macedonia, and they are free to leave whenever they want, which just begs the question, can they just come to Britain again? But anyway, I actually think this reveals something about the mindset of the Labour Party now. I think they might be a bit racist. Now, hear me out on this, OK? Rwanda, bad. We can't send people to an African country. Gosh, it would be inhumane. The Africans, they can't be trusted to treat them correctly. But North Macedonia, fine. Sure, it's a hugely corrupt country. Sure, it discriminates against minorities, especially the LGBT community. Sure, they have huge issues with free speech and media control. But, hey, none of that matters. Do you remember when Sir Keir Starmer said this?
We are going to drive down migration, both legal and illegal. That will only be done with a serious plan. The only way to make it work is to smash the gangs that are running the vile trade.
OK, it's taken 18 months and we are right back where we started. He's just replaced the Rwanda word with the words North and Macedonia, hasn't he? So, right, let's get the views of my panel on this. Russell, hey, North Macedonia, nice this time of year.
It does seem a bit odd, doesn't it, that within, 24 hours of taking government in July 2024, Keir Starmer cancelled the Rwanda scheme. And actually, despite what Yvette Cooper says there, the Rwanda scheme didn't actually take off. It didn't actually get put into place. So the £700 million, of course, that was wasted because of all the set-up costs, all the infrastructure costs. Which I guess brings me nicely to the point, and sure this isn't lost on us, that if we have spent all that money on a scheme for Rwanda, albeit this is a slightly different scheme, this is about sending people to North Macedonia once they have and if they have their asylum claim rejected. So it's slightly different to the Rwanda scheme, which was about just sending people there to be processed. There is a differentiation, as I'm sure Barry will explain in a second. But if we've already spent £700 million on infrastructure, as in the setup, the process, whatever, why don't we just use Rwanda for this scheme? Because, and I'll tell you why, it's because the Labour Party don't want to do that because it was a Conservative scheme. It's politics, but at our expense.
OK, there is someone with a microphone, I believe, in the audience, is there? Hello? Hello, sir, how are you? So, what's your views on North Macedonia?
The thing is, where I'm seeing it is, where's the money coming from?
So, I mean, we all of a sudden a £22 billion black hole. So all of a sudden we've now got, what, send them over there?
Money
Where's
for the North
money coming
Macedonians.
from? Yeah.
Do you
Where's
think
it
it might
coming
work,
from?
though? I mean, broadly, you're just in favour of trying something, though, do you think, like this?
Yeah, but it's not going to work, is it? We've got the, was it ECHR? They'll just throw that at us straight away. So, straight away, it's like, probably don't like chicken nuggets. I don't know. You know, that's probably what it is. If you don't like chicken nuggets,
don't like.
No
I'm not
worries.
sure what the North Macedonian cuisine is like, actually, but
it's nice.
It's probably very good. It's near Greece, isn't it? I mean, it's probably lovely.
Like I went in from Thessalonica into North Macedonia, into Skopje, actually, which is the capital. I spent many happy hours in the Alexandra Palace with all the other foreign correspondents during the Kosovo crisis.
Gosh.
Mostly getting drunk in the evenings. Right. But, I mean, I think that the scheme could work because Macedonia has a great need for immigrants. It's got a massive problem in its construction industry and it needs a lot of workers. So they'll be only too happy to take more people in. But it will cost us money. But I think we do need to think about having offshore centres, and so you could be in a situation where you've got a win-win situation there.
Barry, are you in favour of North Macedonia?
Let me, and you know, you touched on the difference, but let me explain why it makes sense and why, for all the laughs that you've poked at it, Patrick, it actually does make sense because it is very different. When you were sending people to Rwanda, it was before they had had their case decided. OK, so you sent them there and they could only claim asylum in Rwanda, right? They couldn't claim asylum here. They had to do it in Rwanda if they're going to do it. But we hadn't decided whether they were genuine or not. Under the North Macedonia scheme, we will be only sending people there who we've decided have no right to stay in the UK. Now, but we can't return them because where we would be returning them to is too dangerous. So we would be otherwise housing them, putting them up here, and we would have been saying to them, you've no right to stay here, but we can't put you back. And so instead of letting them stay here, what we're saying is we'll put you to North Macedonia where you'll be able to work. All the things that Linda said, they need the labour, they'll be able to work. You can establish a life there if you want to be an economic migrant, but you're not going to do it here in the UK. That's the difference between the two schemes. One, we've fulfilled our legal obligation to test whether they're genuine or not. In the other, we never were going to do that in the first place, which is why it was illegal under international law to send them to Rwanda.
Still expensive, though, isn't it?
Yeah, not that expensive, actually. Doesn't seem to me. Less expensive than putting them up here.
Go on, Christys.
I mean, it is the same, I think, as the principle of the Rwanda scheme. And I think that it's morally wrong to take the view that anyone making their way across the channel is illegal and that they should then be shipped up and sent across the waters, because of course it is. It's awful, and I've no problem calling out for what it is. Oh, sorry, those were the words of David Lammy over the Rwanda scheme. Oh, I am sorry, I got confused. Hang on. How about here's another one. This is a gimmick that will not act as a deterrent. Oh, sorry, that was what Keir Starmer said about the Rwanda plan as well. And, the Rwanda scheme is dead and buried before it started. It's never been a deterrent. Starmer also said that as well. I mean, this is the point. They are complete and utter hypocrites. They gaslight you, because they will gaslight you to tell you that this is different. And you're right, you have pointed out one difference with it.
It's a critical one.
Well, yes, and it makes it worse, because actually what you should do is anyone that comes here over on a boat, you should then take to North Macedonia and process them, then decide if they are legitimate to come to the UK, because unfortunately what you'll end up happening is endless court appeals, endless ways in which people will still try and stay, so it won't be the deterrent that it is supposed to be. The one good thing about North Macedonia, though, is that it is landlocked, meaning they can't escape on a boat. So
there is, there is a fundamental flaw in this, of course, as we would expect from a Labour government idea, and that is that every year about 6,000 asylum seekers that have their application refused go missing. So how are we going to find those 6,000 a year in order to send them to North Macedonia? Because they disappear, they hide, and they live off the black economy. So there's a real problem here. You set up a process to take those people elsewhere. You won't know where they are.
Yeah, they take them straight to North Macedonia as soon as they come off the boat, and then they could.
Which is the Rwanda scheme.
Yeah, but North Macedonia is closer. I mean, I actually think if they did that, there would be some.
Do we think it'll actually be a deterrent, though? I mean, this is the thing. I mean, you've made North Macedonia sound actually quite nice, to be fair.
Oh, it's very beautiful.
I found a
surprised you can remember, Linda.
Yes,
all the
nice
drinking.
food. I can recover very quickly.
I've just found a CNN destination report on there, and it sounds absolutely beautiful.
It is
Delicious
beautiful.
food, great wine, no tourist crowds. There's still a beautiful southern European country. I mean,
birthplace of Alexander the Great.
Well, yeah, that's got a Greek connection as well. Anyone fancy a trip to North Macedonia?
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Should we do a group, a show from North? I've been somewhere, got a taste for it now. I was in Wales
go
last
to
night.
the Alexander Palace.
Next
That
stop,
would be...
North Macedonia. Yes, might be a difficult one to get past the bosses there. All right, Barry. Practically speaking, do you think this will make any difference whatsoever to the migrant crisis?
I think it's part of a package of measures. Nothing is a silver bullet in this. Anybody who thinks this is simple, you know, providing a simplistic solution that says, oh, just get the Navy to bomb them out the water in the Channel, all of this is nonsense, right?
Who has ever said that?
No one thinks that.
Well, you came very close to it in the last show, actually.
It was different between intercepting and bombing. Come on.
Yeah. But what are you doing with them once you've intercepted them? Right? Anyway.
You what Australia did. We had this argument last week.
The point is this. There isn't a simple solution. And there's a number of measures that we've got to do. We've got to work with other countries to make sure that we reform the 1951 Convention. We've got to do the sort of in-country processing that we've talked about before. There's lots of things that you need to do, as well as bearing down on the criminality. But anyone who thinks that there's one thing is just flying a kite.
OK, all right. Well, who here thinks we should have just pressed ahead with the Rwanda plan? Just put hands up. No? A few people? Yeah. Yeah. People were happy. So there was a report that came out recently, a couple of weeks ago, that said that they'd managed to calculate that more people were deterred from coming to Britain by the Rwanda plan than this one-in, one-out deal.
But bear in mind, you don't have to send thousands of people to Rwanda. So once you actually go through and execute on the plan and you send some people, that in itself is enough disincentive. So you just need to have a process, the same as there is still a Home Office website page live now that says, and I kid you not, asylum seekers, this is what you get if you come to Britain. It's literally an open invitation. Our hands and our arms are literally open and welcome.
Do you seriously think...
£46 a week. NHS, accommodation. If you're a pregnant woman, and of course, no women do come across, you get £300 in cash. We are literally advertising Britain as a soft touch to the rest of the
Russell,
world.
do you seriously think that all the people coming across the Channel can't count? Because the maximum that Rwanda could take was 400. So which migrant was going to say, oh, I better not go to Britain?
How many can North Macedonia take then, Barry? What's the number?
That's why it's not the same scheme.
What's the number?
I've no idea, but it's not going to be huge numbers. But the point is,
there's not a deterrent then, is
it? It's taking
How's it a deterrent if you can't take many people?
It's taking people out of the UK who have no right to be here and putting them somewhere else to do their economic business.
It's like a gimmick, Barry, doesn't it? Don't you think?
No, it sounds like trying to make sure that people are not being put up in hotels at your and my expense.
Put them in camps at Dover.
When the courts have already said they have no right to be here. But the point is, no asylum seeker thought that Rwanda scheme could take them all. It couldn't, and that's why it would never have worked.
How's smashing the gangs going? How many gangs have you smashed so far in 18 months, Barry?
Actually, there have
you did arrest a guy on a Lilo, I think, in France.
Russell, it's all great fun, but
it's
actually,
not. It's a very serious
20,000 different criminal groups have been disrupted by the police in Germany.
Where's the press releases?
Okay.
Why are the press not talking about who are the gangs? Where are they?
It is
which prisons are they in? Which prisons are they in?
All right, sometimes it hits 40 degrees in North Macedonia. It's lovely. They can get 9 to 10 hours sunshine.
And the food is lovely.
Mountainous areas as well.
It's not really a deterrent then. It's not a deterrent at all.
Please deport me to North Macedonia.
I'll pay.
Go on.
OK, all right. Well, look, there is still a lot to get stuck into in this show. But, oh, yes, I've got to tell you about the brand new Great British Giveaway. And it's your chance. This is just a window into my future, which is inevitably going to be telesales, isn't it? But anyway, so here's how you can be in it to win it.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. What would you say yes to? For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, so we've got this coming up.
I'm very early and it has hit us extremely hard.
Right, is everyone afraid of the super flu? No, it might be in the room with us now. We don't know. It's like
talk about Russell.
Super flu could be looking around. Anyway, apparently masks are back, right? So we are being told to mask up if you have symptoms of the super flu. Will you be complying? That's next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, you compound that with the fact that across a lot of industries, AI is wiping out jobs at that entry-level stage. Like, take lawyers, for example. Pretty much any job that any lawyer up to about 8 years' experience can do can now be done by AI. Same goes across a lot of services. There will always be bartenders, or at least until robotics takes that as well. But you compound these things, and I really do fear for the next generation of young people and the sense of purpose that they're potentially not going to have by just not having jobs.
But the minimum wage is rising for everyone, isn't it? It's because if you are going to employ people, it'll still be cheaper to employ 18 to 20-year-olds, won't it? Because they're still going to get paid less than other people. So I don't see why that's going to curb jobs for them. People still need to hire people. People still need people to do jobs.
Yeah, it's very difficult, though. I own a small business. I employ people. And it is difficult, and this is why things like the black market are being so easily fed, especially with asylum sneakers hanging about.
Asylum sneakers?
Yes, that's what we call them now.
Yeah, we announced that yesterday.
Adidas Asylum.
That's what we.
That's what
they are now. Yeah.
I got a new brand. They wear refugees. But this is.
You not get the email about that?
I didn't, mate.
By the way, the more you put the wages up, it just gets passed on to the customer. Well, if the customer can't afford to pay it because Rachel Reeves is taxing them, because the minimum wage has gone up and the business national insurance has gone up, we just hit a stalemate. This is what we've got. It's like the whole economy turns into moss.
Yeah, well, just sorry, because we don't have to whiz ourselves on, but on that note of everything else going up, food prices are apparently predicted to grow after the budget taxes as well. So for all this talk about you paying people more, well, if everything else costs more, then it doesn't really go anywhere, does it?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back. Right, so everyone here is obviously absolutely terrified of super flu. Health officials, Health officials are urging anyone who feels unwell to wear a face mask in public again, as flu cases surge to record levels across the UK. Cracking time for all those doctors got to strike again, isn't it? The UK Health Security Agency warns a highly infectious strain is spreading fast, with hospital admissions amongst the elderly doubling in just a week. Several NHS trusts have already reintroduced mask rules and visiting restrictions to protect vulnerable patients. Experts say flu could peak over Christmas, adding yet more pressure to an already strained health service. Now, look, I certainly don't want to be poking fun at people who are genuinely very sick with it. Obviously, not a nice thing at all, and especially, the elderly and all of that. But the return of the masks. Has anyone got strong feelings on this in the audience? Get your hand up if you do. But Christo, would you be masking up again? No?
This just irritates me, I'm sorry. It really does. I'm so sick every single year. It's like clockwork. This is going to be the worst year for the NHS. The NHS is going to close its doors. It's the worst when we get these catastrophising headlines that makes everyone worried, and then we're worried why everyone's sort of, off work because they've got anxiety. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm sorry. Like, you get ill in winter. You know what? Have a Lemsip, tuck yourself up in bed. If you are particularly vulnerable, then go and see your doctor if you can get an appointment within 6 months, and then just use some common sense. I'm so sick of this catastrophising, this over-safetyism. I'm sorry, there are a few people in the audience I would like to see in a mask, but, other than that, I'm sick of it.
That is, you know what, and they love you. They love you. People come here just to see you.
They like the abuse.
Treat them like that.
They like the abuse back as well.
Good grief. Right, OK, mask up, mask on, mask off.
No, I'm off. I don't like masks. I didn't use them much last time, actually, but we should pay attention to this strain because it is quite serious.
Look, last year, 7,800 people died of flu.
You're a monster.
But 6,500 of those were over the age of 65. It's the elderly that suffer.
Yeah.
And so it's all very well for Christo, who's only 29,
Yeah, he's 29 for a while.
To say, oh, well, I'm not masking up. But we know that flu is spread by droplet infection. So when you're coughing, when you're just breathing in and out on the tube or in a confined space, if you've got a mask on, it stops the spread. Now, it may not affect you, but it does affect elderly people, and they're the ones who will pay the price for it. And that's why I say, let's do anything we can to make sure that we minimise the numbers of winter deaths from flu.
OK, go on.
I think this culture of fear and control by way of these things is really, really sinister. We really, honestly, learned nothing from COVID. I mean, notwithstanding the...
Did you read the report, Russell?
I'll come to it. Notwithstanding the pointless COVID report that we are seeing in the news currently, insofar as what we could have done, what we should have done, should have locked down harder, should have locked down more. When you actually speak to the virologists, they say a couple of things. The first is that the holes in those masks are bigger than the spores from COVID and flu themselves. So the spores go straight through the masks, which renders them largely useless. But what virologists, not politicians, say is that if you allow the spread, the whole, I think as Boris Johnson is accused of saying a few years ago, to let it rip as such, then notwithstanding the vulnerable, I accept that, and maybe if they are vulnerable and concerned, they should be at home. But actually, if you let these things disseminate through the community, what happens is those viruses dilute and you get it out of the way much, much quicker than trying to preserve it and prolong it. So I think this advice, as we know from COVID, is wrong and it's flawed.
So we've got some NHS trusts now, apparently, anyway, returning to some of the some COVID-style restrictions, essentially. There's a bit of an eye roll on the front row there from someone who's not a fan of it. I do find it, I don't know, I just feel like it's a little bit excessive, but then I suppose maybe it's the worst flu strain.
Is there anyone...
But actually, you did raise a really important point, Patrick. This is all happening just as we're heading
Yeah.
towards the next doctor's strike.
Yeah.
And that's really dangerous now, I think, because there's so much pressure on hospitals.
So the first strike actually came at the same time that the report had just been published, literally just been published, so they were expecting this to be the worst year for flu. Presumably, they mean since COVID, I don't know, but anyway, bad flu season.
It's always
and they were on strike straight away.
It's not.
It's always the worst.
It's just not true.
You
not
see a
true.
report saying that the NHS
Actually,
is
it's
going
not
to
true.
buckle every single
it's
year.
not
You
true.
do see that. You're
No.
saying
Ambulances outside A&E.
I just told you it's not
Are you
true.
saying that there aren't reports every single year
Christo, I
catastrophizing
lived
over
for
the
5 years in
NHS?
Hong Kong, which is a flu epicentre, and they measure the virus every single year. And it changes from year to year to year.
Are you saying that there aren't reports every single year saying that the NHS is under the worst strain it's ever going to be under, and it's going to be absolutely terrible
It
this
varies
winter?
from year to year. That's why there's a different code number after the virus every year.
So
that we
you're
get
saying
an
that we don't get those reports every single year? Every single year we get a report saying that the NHS is going to completely buckle under pressure.
It's probably from you, Christo, because there's always going to be some reporter who's going to spin it to make a programme.
It used to be that the NHS...
Linda knows what she's talking about. You don't. Let her speak.
Because you're in denial that the press catastrophizes constantly, firstly. And secondly, the NHS used to protect us. When did it become that we had to protect the NHS? We had to restrict our freedoms because the NHS can't cope.
Do you remember when we had a
It used to
church
be like
service for the
that.
NHS? Do you remember that? Do you remember they did a church service for the NHS?
Well, maybe we should be banging some saucepans tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
Let's all give a round of applause for the NHS again.
OK. Well, I really wasn't thinking it would kick off over this. Maybe we've got some people in the audience saying I'm not wearing a mask over my...
I don't particularly like masks. I'm simply saying that every year scientists, epidemiologists measure the type of virus it is, and every year they give it a code number because they are indicating to medical professionals around the world the strength of the virus. Now, is that difficult to understand?
I am saying that whether they measure the virus or not, whether there is an epidemiologist measuring viruses or not, every single year, whatever the weather...
Some idiot...
We hear that the NHS is under too much strain and it's going to collapse under winter
Is there
strain.
anyone medical in the audience? Is there anyone? No. We would be screwed if there's always one person. No one medical at all. All right, fair enough. Well, there you go. That's just saved us a couple of minutes. We might as well move on now, I suppose. Look, there is still more to come. And I'm going to try something a bit different tonight, actually. When we do this break, I am going to nip outside and I'm going to have a look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages and we're going to reveal them, and then we might just do something. We might just do something live on them, a bit fresh. I know, try and liven it up a bit. I do try. Anyway, coming up.
Heading to see what happened in Europe with the immigration. Europe is not the same place. I can't say every place, but pretty much almost every place. There are a couple of places.
President Trump says that Europe is facing civilizational erasure. So we're talking about that, and yes, I will get you your papers, and I'm going to need some audience participation at the end of this show as well. So, watch this space. See you in a sec.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Further wet and windy weather likely in Greece and Turkey during the course of the weekend. Some heavy downpours, particularly across southern parts of Turkey, extending into Cyprus. Also, as I mentioned, gusty winds. The breeze coming down from the north, bringing a cool feel to Italy, but should see plenty of sunshine here. Same goes for Mallorca and much of the east coast of Spain. If you want temperatures over 20 degrees, you need to be heading further south. Some fine warm conditions in the Canaries. Those heavy showers only slowly easing this weekend in Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office.
This weekend is looking unsettled with heavy downpours. The only good news is, though, it's staying relatively mild. That's because we've got southwesterly winds, but that is where the rain is coming from. So some very wet weather pushing into western areas through the rest of this evening, and that will move into the north and east overnight tonight, bringing some snow to the high ground of the Grampians. Elsewhere, though, a lot of rain. There will likely be quite a lot of water on the roads through your travel this evening and into tomorrow morning. Once the main rain band clears, that gives way to some heavy and blustery showers. And with strong winds overnight, temperatures will be holding up above freezing just about everywhere. But it does mean we are going to continue to see some further rainfall throughout Saturday. Some quite strong winds actually moving in across eastern areas of Scotland, and with the rain continuing to feed in, we could see some disruption here across eastern areas of Aberdeenshire. Further west, we've got some heavy showers across northern England. Northern Ireland seeing a slightly drier day, but western areas of Wales, the south of Wales in particular, parts of Devon and Cornwall will see some quite gusty winds throughout Saturday. And these showers do bring a risk of hail and thunderstorms on Saturday. There will be some dry weather around, though, actually. Once the main rain clears actually in the north, much of Scotland will see relatively dry weather, and there will be some sunshine here and there across central areas. And as I said, it is on the milder side of things, 10 or 11 degrees. Some areas seeing 12 degrees actually through Saturday afternoon. So not too bad, but definitely a pretty unsettled weekend. A cold start, though, on Sunday morning, and then the next band of rain bringing another spell of heavy downpours throughout Sunday afternoon across the country, particularly actually this time across northern areas moves in. Now that will clear for some respite on Monday, but the next batch of wet and, for some of us, very windy weather arrives on Tuesday.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Can I just say a massive thank you to this wonderful audience as well. People come from all over. Wigan, we've got Blackpool. Go on, who else? Where else we got? Where else? Bournemouth, Essex, Leicester. Brilliant. Right, great. What was it? What was it called? Winchester.
Ormsgate.
Ormskirk.
Ormskirk. Ormskirk. I know Ormskirk quite well. Yeah, fantastic. Good stuff. Oh, well, that's a nice part of the world. Anyway, we move on. Right, so, well, first things first, Europe risks civilisational erasure. Must change course to remain a reliable US ally. President Trump has been talking about this and about mass immigration and all of that. So we were going to talk about that. However, what I thought I might do something a bit different. Can I just introduce to you some of the front pages, please? So these have just landed, hot off the press, as they say. The Daily Telegraph has got this, which is Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner and the pact for number 10. So the Health Secretary's allies make overtures for a joint ticket to challenge Starmer. Apparently multiple Labour sources have now told the Telegraph that MPs close to the Health Secretary, which is Wes Streeting, have basically said that he is part of this plot, him and Rayner. So I think that's quite interesting. The other one that's quite good here is that Christmas jumpers could upset customers. So HSBC...
Trigger.
It's true, yeah. HSBC staff have said that their employees will be banned from wearing Christmas jumpers in case it upsets staff. Yeah. That's the issue got you going. We'll do that. Right, OK. So, do you think this is a bit ridiculous?
Well, do you know what? In my local town centre where I live in Lambeth, I noticed that all of the Christmas lights, none of them reference Christmas in any way, shape or form.
Yes.
There's like a strange octopus jellyfish-looking thing, which is that I didn't like, which is odd.
Well, you mean the Christmas octopus? Everyone knows the Christmas octopus.
Yes, the Christmas jellyfish.
Famous.
Traditional Christmas octopus.
Yeah.
There was another one. They're really random. I should have taken some photos of them and brought them in because they're really random. And I was like, well, none of them. There aren't any bells. There aren't any reindeers. There aren't anything. But of course, I live in a very diverse part of London, and that's great. I live in a diverse part of London, but I don't think anyone's offended by Christmas, are they? Or are they?
Well, you imagine not in a Christian country. I mean, I know we're not talking about the Trump story. This is exactly what Donald Trump's saying, isn't it? It's exactly what he's saying.
I can't understand what the problem with the Christmas jumpers is.
Well, so it's if they have to give, I believe, it's if they have to give out bad news. So, like, oh, sorry, we're taking your house off you. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Have you seen this one lights up. Look at this, let's turn it on, you know. It plays a little song.
I have always thought about, like, you know, during comic relief when they go into work and they dress like a chicken, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, but, you know, you're bankrupt. That would be difficult to take, right?
I think I prefer it. I don't get like, if someone's going to take my house off, well, no, I would like to have a house removed. If someone's going to take my flat off me, I think I'd like to try and cheer up the situation by being really inappropriate Christmas
by being in fancy dress or something.
Yeah.
Dressed up like a jester or something.
So, yes, anyways, well, there we go. So, Barry, I mean, are you going to summon up any cares about their story or not particularly?
I wasn't listening.
There you go. Good. Let's just focus on... Sorry, Barry, but on the other one. Like, I mean, there was Streeting and Rayner in the pact for number 10. This joint ticket, it's all a bit your party, this, the idea of a collective leadership, a joint ticket. What do you make of it?
I think it would be the wrong thing to do because coronations of leaders rarely lead to the right result.
Coronation streeting?
Oh. Well done.
Wonderful.
It's an over-generous round of applause.
I think if there were to be a change in leader of the Labour Party, then it should definitely be the party that decides it and not a very small group of MPs. And I think it would be wrong for it to be stitched up in that way. I think the party has the right to decide who its leader is, not for the MPs just to present them with the fait accompli.
And actually, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown do that.
No, but Barry, you do actually, in fairness to the Labour Party, you do actually have quite a democratic way of selecting leader. You do.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a while, but you do.
Of course, you could have the most democratic way and have a general election.
Yeah.
That would be a very, very democratic way of deciding.
But it would be very strange given the 5 leaders that the Conservatives had within how many years was it? I mean, it would be a novel idea, certainly.
That's probably not the precedent that we're looking for.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say,
you go.
do we not think that the Streeting Rayner thing is a bit of an odd pairing, or is it designed specifically to appeal to, I guess, both sides of the Labour political spectrum, the left and the right? So, I mean, maybe it works, but it does seem a bit odd because you've got Rayner on the left, Streeting definitely on the right, from what I can see.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Can I just throw a little bit of a spanner into the works here? Because I have just seen what's on the front of the Guardian newspaper. So, you know, you've all seen the Farage stuff recently, where some people that he was at school with are obviously accusing him of that's racism, I suppose you say, isn't it? Well, ex-Dulwich pupil Farage told me that's the way to Africa. They've gone and spoken to another pupil. Now, I must say, it's going to be a difficult thing to articulate this, I think, without sounding even more vile than many people think I already am. But I did listen to the Jewish bloke who was at school with him, and he was on Good Morning Britain. He's been on James O'Brien as well. And I think people well know my views on anti-Semitism and the fact that we've seen a big explosion of it in this country, and it's a terrible thing. And, I received a text message from a very, very good friend of mine who is Jewish, saying this guy needs to get over it, right? Now, it was 50 years ago. Farage was like 13, maybe 14.
16.
16.
Well,
17,
okay.
16.
I did wonder, I don't know. I felt a bit conflicted about this because you don't want to say, obviously, you just need to get over racism, do you? But I just felt as though, at what point, like, how many years he's been sitting on this, and then he's there, like,
But that's the point.
That's
the point, isn't it? Why has it taken these so-called accusers 50 years to come out of the woodwork? Seems a bit odd. Why didn't they say this during, I don't know, Brexit. Nigel's been on the political scene for quite some time. Don't we think it's a little bit odd that now Nigel is preparing himself for government in 3 to 4 years' time? All of a sudden, by coincidence, these people are popping up one after the other saying, he said this to me when I...
Do you think they're lying?
I think he has denied it.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't.
He has, and I have no reason to think that he's lying.
Sorry, no, let's be absolutely clear what he has said. He said that...
He's denied it.
What he's said is that if he said these things, it was not in a malicious or racist way, and that it would have been a banter and it would have been a joke. So he hasn't actually denied saying it. Let's be absolutely clear about that. All I want to know is if it were Keir Starmer that had made those remarks, and let's be clear about what they were. There were remarks like Hitler was right, and something about the gas chambers.
These are the things that are categorically they are accused, but they are denied. Those specific words, those specific allegations are denied.
Well, what I'm saying is, if these allegations were being made against Keir Starmer, I think there would be absolute outrage, and rightly so. So I don't think you can have one rule for one and one rule for another.
The only thing I would say about this, that for me this kind of falls down a little bit, is I don't think anyone actually thinks Nigel Farage is genuinely anti-Semitic. Right, this is the thing. I know people. People like to lob the phrase Islamophobia around, don't they, and all of that stuff and things like. I don't really think people genuinely think Nigel hates the Jews. I just don't think people think that, really. But
I think both things can be true at the same time. I think that I don't know if he said these things, but I also think it was a completely different era, and the insults that were thrown around, and as he pointed out this week, the BBC showed jokes and comedies that had that kind of language on during that period as well. So it was normalised. That doesn't make it right. It's completely wrong. But also to what you said. When I was growing up, right, I was morbidly obese and clearly as gay as Christmas. And, that was not a happy childhood. But that was not a happy experience in school for me. And I was, and I got a lot of that kind of abuse. I don't look back at those people of that time and think, well, they were awful, dreadful people. It was of the time. And also my mindset has had to be, well, that's made me as tough as old boots. It's made me be able to talk myself out of certain situations. I've made a career out of being able to speak. Well, I look at what it kind of gave me. Now, I wonder if that's the point you're making about your mindset being, yes, these things were terrible and they were unforgivable, but also you do have to...
So why can't he just come out and say, look, I said some bloody stupid things when I was 16 years of age. I apologise to those people that I said them to, and, let's move on. If he did say them, then surely he should apologise. If he didn't say them, then fight it.
There's people in the audience who are shaking their head. Does anyone want to put their hand up and say something? No? There is a chap here. I know we've already seen you. It's a pleasure to see you again, sir, of course. So, should we get that microphone over to you? Stand up for us. Thank you very much.
The one thing I want to know is how do you remember that far back? I mean, I can just about remember 2 weeks what I said. Come on. How's he going to remember 50 years ago? Unless it's written down or videotaped, how do we know?
Well, you do remember. I mean, I remember specifically things that were said to me. And now, again, it was word for word? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was the era. But it was the era.
The thing that I didn't buy was, so he was on James O'Brien today, I think he was actually, or it might be yesterday anyway, and he was saying, when I hear his voice on the television, I have to turn the TV off because it's triggering for me. And it was,
Oh no, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. You do need to move on at some point in your life, and if you hear that, like if I hear a sort of gay joke that's near the knuckle now that might have been similar to what was said to me years ago, I don't suddenly have an episode. I'm usually the one making that joke.
You are.
So you need to. It is part of your mindset.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, just round us off. Go on. What do you make of this then? Because more and more are happening now. Basically, anyone who was at school with Farage is now on the front of the Guardians.
Yeah, common sense tells me this is a very, very long time ago, and I think some things, they're just, as you rightly say, No one's memory's perfect. I know that when things are very, very hurtful, you do remember them. I certainly do whenever it happens to me. What puzzles me, though, is Nigel Farage told reporters that he had never been racist or anti-Semitic with malice. But as far as I understand it, if you are racist or anti-Semitic, it is malicious. That's what I don't understand that quote. I mean, maybe he should get his comms person to sort something out that's a little bit better than that.
All right. Well, we'll watch. Well, I mean, it's we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously he clamped back yesterday, big time, didn't he, on the BBC? And I think he did make quite a fair point, to be honest, about how there was the black and white minstrel show that was.
Alf Garnett.
You know, Rising Damp was another.
Well,
blatantly racist.
Alf Garnett was always actually. That was written sardonically. It was taking the mick out of himself. But I look, it was a very different era. But that's why, you know, an apology does cure a lot of things. And if it's real, if those things were actually said,
he's not apologising.
You know,
it's not real.
All right. So, when we come back, we've got Greatest Britain Union Jackass going to need loads of audience participation on this. So, right, get your voices warmed up. We'll hear from you in a second. Stay tuned.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I think after the first incident, obviously, I became hyper aware of how men can behave in London. But since sharing my story in February, I've had hundreds of women come forward and tell me their stories. It was actually so overwhelming, the amount of people that reached out to me and said, thank you for sharing your story, thank you for talking about it, because this had happened to me and that had happened to me. And I think also because I became aware of it, I don't know whether I started to see it, whether it was rising, but what I do know is that the amount of incidents happening are not the amount of incidents being reported.
One of the controversial issues, Genevieve, here in America is that in certain states, President Trump has put the National Guard on the streets. They have it here in Washington, D.C., and these are kind of volunteer soldiers, if you like. You can see some pictures here, so that's me there with them, and that's Ben Leo, our other host, and you just have groups of them. They're in groups of sort of 3, 4, 5 sometimes on the street corners. We were coming back from a football match, I've been here too long, that evening, and you feel safe because they are a very clear presence on the street. Do you think we should have something similar in London?
Yeah, I mean, if there were repercussions and men thought that they were going to be caught and that there were going to be witnesses and that they were going to be held accountable, that would decrease the rate of these kind of attacks happening, because you're going to weigh up whether it's worth it, aren't you, as a
of course.
Person.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful audience. Thank you to everybody who has made the trip to be here. I hope you think it was worth it. So let's do Greatest Britain, Union Jack. I was going to start with Greatest Britain. So, Russell, who's your Greatest Britain, please?
Mine is Liz Truss. That might be a name that you haven't heard for a little while. No, because she is about to launch her own show, and I just want to take my my hat off to her for her perseverance and her staying power, given the stick that she gets. So, yeah, she's about to start her own show. Won't compete with this. I think it's early on a Friday, Patrick. So no competition to you.
All right.
Matt Goodwin might have something to say about it, though.
Right, I see. Well, OK. Well, there you go. Well, good luck, Liz. Right, OK, Christo, who's your Greatest Britain?
I'm going to nominate the journalist Sarah Vine, who has written a really heartfelt article about how she's lost her hair. She's more or less completely lost her hair, and how painful it is for women who have lost their hair, and how, you know, we talk a lot about male hair loss.
It's not a wig. I'll just say it again. I'll say it again.
Can I just tell you really quickly?
It's not a wig.
You know, when we had our little to-do about the NHS, someone on your side just said, do you know, I really agree. That guy with the wig, he's right.
Who do they definitely met you?
They can't even. But yeah, I think it was a really heartfelt piece from Sarah Vine, and I think that she should be applauded for it.
OK, all right. Glinda?
I thought that too, by the way, but because I think she was very, very brave. When you see the latest pictures of her, I mean, a lot of her hair is missing, and she suffered with it almost all her adult life, so it's quite a brave thing for a woman to do. But I thought that the Princess of Wales has now been a year in remission from cancer. I mean, she's still got further to go, but I think she's done an absolutely tremendous job. And she was out tonight with the Carol Service for Children, which is her own event that she has launched. And I think she deserves everyone's support.
All right, OK, good. Barry?
Mine is the Baby Bank Alliance. It's basically they take pre-loved baby clothes, equipment, and they make them available to families who need them. And at this time of year, when some families are really struggling, I think it's wonderful. There's about 400 of them up and down the country, and they do an amazing job for families, giving them really nice stuff that otherwise they couldn't afford.
Great. All right, OK, nice. Well, I might use it, but I should say I should donate to it. Anyway, right, OK, so we're going to vote on this now. So, Liz Truss, anybody for Greatest Britain? Right.
Oh, my God.
We are off to... Can I just say, this is one of the louder audiences.
Literally nothing. Nothing.
Right, a little bit off the mark, but...
That's made my evening. I don't have to win now. I mean, please vote for the Baby Bank Alliance, but I don't mind now that Liz Truss got nothing.
All right, OK, Sarah Vine. Yeah, OK. Sorry, Liz. Oh, yeah, the Princess of Wales. All right. The Baby Bank Alliance.
Yay!
Win. I told you boo him at the start. You boo him at the start. Oh, I'm being told to move on very quickly. Sorry. Union Jackass. Right, let's keep this snappy. Go on.
The BBC, as we've rehearsed already for yesterday's Question Time, plumbing new editorial depths.
OK, right, very quick, sorry.
Take Back the Power, the group that dumped manure at the Ritz Hotel. I mean, stupid people.
Good, go on.
Zach Polanski, supposedly the great communicator, but maybe the one-eyed man in the kingdom of the blind.
Oh, yes, he actually said about, carers just kind of wipe people's bottoms. Anyway, go on, yeah.
Very rare that a Labour politician knows he's going to get the support of 24,000 Tunbridge Wells voters, right? Yeah. But I have South East Water for 24,000 people being without water in Tunbridge Wells.
Wow.
OK, right, what do we think? Well, just shout a name at me because we've got to go. Shout a name. Who do you think? Barry! Thank you. Wonderful audience, really, really lovely. So thank you so much.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. This weekend is looking unsettled with heavy downpours. The only good news is, though, it's staying relatively mild. That's because we've got southwesterly winds, but that's where the rain is coming from. So some very wet weather pushing into western areas through the rest of this evening, and that will move into the north and east overnight tonight, bringing some snow to the high ground of the Grampians. Elsewhere, though, a lot of rain. There will likely be quite a lot of water on the roads through your travel this evening and into tomorrow morning. Once the main rain band clears, that gives way to some heavy and blustery showers, and with strong winds overnight, temperatures will be holding up above freezing just about everywhere. But it does mean we are going to continue to see some further rainfall throughout Saturday. Some quite strong winds actually moving in across eastern areas of Scotland, and with the rain continuing to feed in, we could see some disruption here across eastern areas of Aberdeenshire. Further west, we've got some heavy showers across northern England. Northern Ireland seeing a slightly drier day, but western areas of Wales, the south of Wales in particular, parts of Devon and Cornwall will see some quite gusty winds throughout Saturday. And these showers do bring a risk of hail and thunderstorms on Saturday. There will be some dry weather around, though, actually. Once the main rain clears actually in the north, much of Scotland will see relatively dry weather, and there will be some sunshine here and there across central areas. And as I said, it is on the milder side of things, 10 or 11 degrees. Some areas seeing 12 degrees actually through Saturday afternoon. So not too bad, but definitely a pretty unsettled weekend. A cold start, though, on Sunday morning, and then the next band of rain bringing another spell of heavy downpours throughout Sunday afternoon across the country, particularly actually this time across northern areas moves in. Now that will clear for some respite on Monday, but the next batch of wet and, for some of us, very windy weather arrives on Tuesday.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello and welcome to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition.
The most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final, and I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Countryfile.
Right, well, plotting for Downing Street. It's back. The Telegraph's front page is about a pact between Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner, supposedly to oust Sir Keir Starmer. And
You came over on a small boat. Am I right about that?
yeah. Fury at the BBC. Reform UK lodges an official complaint after the BBC put illegal migrants in the Question Time audience.
Prize, this is your peace prize for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Well, thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honours of my life.
So that is President Trump being awarded FIFA's first Peace Prize. Now, look, not against Trump winning something, obviously, but why is FIFA doing things like the Peace Awards? Like, just stick to football. Anyway, plus, Labour have abandoned women and feminism, according to Lord Faulkner. And apparently, yes, there we go. Also got a bit of this.
It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go. And making new ones.
Well, we think there's been a bit of a Christmas miracle, a royal reconciliation, if you can call it that. Meghan Markle has reached out to her father. Sadly, of course, he's just had his leg amputated in the Philippines, and there were articles about how close to death he was. Hopefully he makes full recovery. Well, joining us this evening, we have got the Labour MP Barry Gardner and journalist and commentator Linda Jubilee. We've also got broadcasting royalty Christopher Foufas and Reform Councillor Russell Quirk. Plus, the Princess of Wales kicks off Christmas in style at Westminster Abbey. OK, welcome back. Right, so let's just give you the roundup of the newspapers and then we'll take it from there. We start with The Guardian. Ex-Dulwich pupil says that Farage told me that's the way to Africa. So this is the latest in a series of articles that are coming out, aren't there, about allegations involving Nigel Farage and things you may have said at school. The Daily Mail, dementia kills 1 in 9. It's time to end cruel injustices. Postcode lottery and diagnosis and care, they say. No drugs on the NHS, care home fees are crippling families, lack of research funds. So the Daily Mail has gone off on that. Then we go for the FT. Netflix deals $83 billion Warner Brothers deal. So this is quite interesting, actually. I mean, it's almost unfathomable amount of money, to be honest. I just find it. I mean, obviously they think that they're going to, I don't know, presumably recoup all this money from the franchise. They've bought a couple of franchises. They've bought Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, haven't they? I think from memory. So anyway, there you go. That's something. The Mirror, England's World Cup 2025 one hell of a draw. It's Croatia, Panama, and Ghana, and we are in Group L.
Who do you mean by we?
Sorry, Barry. Sorry. No, fair enough.
It's the royal we.
No, it's the English
You're
we.
Right. That is a sign of my what would you say? Prejudice. Barry, that's what it is.
Barry will be on the front page of The Guardian in 50 years' time talking about how traumatised he is.
Who's Scotland got? Yeah.
Listen, Scotland have the best draw ever. We meet Brazil in the groups and then we meet Brazil again in the final. I mean, it's wonderful.
Wow, that'll happen.
It's just going to be fantastic. And we've got Haiti on the way.
Eddie Hainsey on the way.
Come on, what's not to like?
Oh, look, no, fantastic. I did like, well, sorry, we'll do the news in a minute, but I did like when Scotland went through, and there's a lot of English fans that were like, oh, this is brilliant for Scotland. And the Scots do not reciprocate when they go in England at all. Anyway, let's go to the Independent. Hospitals force-fed, drugged and abused children. It's a bit of a shift in tone, this, let's be honest, from a more light-hearted story into this. I'll get you more details on that. The Express. House market freeze due to budget. Yeah, very concerning stuff for people. I think people are staying put, aren't they, at the moment, really? At the Times, Labour let women down, they say. Now, I should correct the record here. This is Baroness Faulkner, I believe, not Lord Faulkner. And this is the former head of the Equality Watchdog, has attacked the government's record on single-sex spaces and on grooming. The Telegraph, Streeting, Rayner and the Pact for number 10. They say that, well, it's what it says on the tin, really. And the Eye, wear a face mask if you feel ill, the public told, as hospitals and schools face a surge in flu and sun. Gosh, it's never ending, this, isn't it? That's gonna be tough. Hey, there you go. And that's our group. They're talking about our group at the World Cup. Right, I feel like it took a while to get through all the papers there, but let's start with the Telegraph. They've got this this supposed plot, Streeting, Rayner and the Pact for number 10. Do we buy it? Do we think this is real? What do you think, Russell?
Well, I have to say, as a Reform councillor, I rather would like Keir Starmer to stay in position as long as possible because, of course, he is, well, by most people's accounts, pretty hapless. So he's good, I think, for the opposition in terms of him staying. I do have a tiny little bit of time for Wes Streeting, I have to say, because I think he is actually quite sensible. He's at the right, I think it's fair to say, of the Labour Party. But how he'll quite get on if he were Prime Minister and Angela Rayner were Deputy Prime Minister again, I don't know. Because, of course, while that would appeal to both sides of the Labour Party in terms of the left and the right of the party, I can't see them getting on.
Right. Well, I will ask you, Barry, do you think...
I thought you might.
Yeah, I mean...
I thought you just might get round to me on this one.
Tricky. Look, I don't want to put you in a tight spot or anything, but, you know, what do you make? What do you make? No. Is there any truth?
You know what I've said previously on Newsnight when it kicked off a couple of weeks ago. There is speculation going around. It's stupid to pretend otherwise, quite honestly. Labour MPs have been fed up with the polls, obviously. Why would you like polls that are putting you down so low? And a lot of the new MPs who came in last time are saying, well, what about my seat in 4 or 5 years, 3 years' time?
Yeah.
And so they're worried, and there have been people saying, well, do we need a change of leadership? Now, I think what's significant about this is that it is a recognition by, if true, it's a recognition by the Wes Streeting camp that they cannot win if this goes to the party. Because the party would not support him. And earlier on your programme this evening, you asked me, before we had this, you know, this front page, you asked me about things, and I said, well, whatever happens, you know, if there is a challenge for the leadership, then it must be the party that decides. That's how democratic institutions do things.
And do we think the May elections are the catalyst? I mean, where Labour loses their shirt? Well, and then I would argue that if there is a change of leadership and therefore a ripping up of the manifesto, not that it hasn't been ripped up in reality, anyway, there should be a general election, Barry.
Well, I would say that anyone who thinks that they ought to be leader of the Labour Party should have the confidence of not waiting till after the May elections, because there are a lot of very good Labour councillors and Labour candidates who will feel very bitter if a new Prime Minister before then could have changed that dynamic and then backed away from doing so.
So from a Labour perspective, it happens sooner to save your shirts in May, is what you're saying?
I think... I'm not saying this is the reality. I'm saying if one were strategizing, right, then what you'd have to say is a new leader would obviously get some sort of boost in the polls, a bit of a honeymoon period, and that might help in the local elections. And therefore, anyone who wants to be leader should have the confidence that they can turn things round. If they don't have that confidence, then you might look askance after May and say, well, why didn't you say that?
We just not end up with Ed Miliband.
See,
please.
I think that you were quite right several weeks ago when you talked about all that unfettered speculation was extremely unedifying for everyone.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is these deals do go on behind closed doors, whatever you may think. And this one does have legs, because I can completely see that Wes Streeting does not think he can do this alone, go it alone. He doesn't think so. He needs to get Angela Rayner on board. But I mean, that is an unholy alliance.
But we assume it's that way round, right? We assume it's Wes Streeting as leader and Prime Minister and Angela Rayner in a deputy position rather than the other way around.
From a public perception, I think he's the person that is seen as having the gravitas.
It's the other way round.
But he is absolutely
not within the party, necessarily.
But so, Barry, would you like to see a new Prime Minister instead of Keir Starmer?
At the moment, I am content that the government is trying to turn the ship round, and I continue to support the leader of my party, as I always support the leader of my party.
And I would never question that loyalty, but I'm just wondering, sort of on paper, if you were looking at sort of Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting side by side, and you had to pick who would be a better Prime Minister, hypothetically, who would you choose?
Oh, goodness me, I'd have to listen to what their pledges were.
Well, you haven't had a chance to listen to what they've had to say so far?
The point is, politicians make pledges. Keir Starmer made pledges. He
certainly did.
He made 10 pledges, and what has disappointed me most, as you know, and I've said it before, is that he did not keep those pledges. They were pledges that he made, we thought, in good faith to the Labour Party members when he was seeking the leadership of the party. He didn't keep them, and he publicly resigned from them. Now, that I don't think is the right thing to do. But I would have to be confident that any pledges that anybody else who challenged him were going to make were pledges that they would deliver on.
Can I just say very quickly about this that I think that the problem would be, love or loathe Blair, he was clearly on the right of the Labour Party. One of the first things he ever did when he was elected leader was get rid of the Clause 4, which was Labour's commitment to nationalisation. He moved the party immediately to the right. If you had Streeting, who's on the right of the party, and then Angela Rayner pulling him left, my worry is you'd end up in this no man's land of non-conviction, ideological-less politics that we're in at the moment, where we wouldn't have any kind of strategy. And I think that a
bit like now.
Yeah, exactly like now. And so I think that, and also the kinds of politics that I think Angela Rayner is in favour of, which is let's hammer the rich, let's hammer landlords, let's hammer business owners, because, you know, let's bring in employee rights day one, which all looks great on paper and all the backbenchers that support Angela Rayner love, but actually when it comes to getting growth in Britain and the policies that Britain needs are complete nonsense and aren't going to work.
Christa, sorry, I just wanted to pick up on one thing that you said there, which is slightly at a tangent, but it's the day one rights in terms of the Employment Rights Bill that has been dropped from the Employment Rights Bill. In fact, it was always the case that there should be probationary period, a 6-month probationary period. You can always get rid of somebody after a 6 months probationary period, and that was built in as part of the bill. What you couldn't do is unfairly dismiss somebody from day one, which you can at the moment. Even if it's unfair, you can dismiss them. So this whole business about, day one rights, it was ridiculous. You could always get rid of somebody after that probationary period. What was wrong
is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, though, because if an employer employs someone and says, "I'm sorry, I just don't think you're any good, you're not a fit," that's not fair. But what is fair?
No, it's perfectly fair to say after 6 months, we've tried you, we thought you were good for the job, we thought you had the skill set, we thought you could do it, you can't, we're going to get rid of you.
Why do you have to wait 6 months?
But you have to wait. You only have to wait 6 months if you're trying to do it unfairly.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Unfairly is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
No,
That's
well, of
what I'm
course,
saying.
but unfair.
What does unfair mean?
Unfair dismissal goes to tribunals all the time for people who've been in employment for more than 2 years, right? You go for an unfair dismissal, it's then tried in the employment tribunal. If you've been unfair, then you're in the wrong. But if you've been unfairly dismissed, you get compensation.
Go to a tribunal within a couple of weeks of someone starting a job, then?
If the employer is unfair.
Yeah, but then they've got to go through a tribunal with someone that's only been working there for a fortnight.
OK.
Because they're in the wrong.
Well, you don't know that they're in the wrong, because the tribunal would decide. So who wants to go through that? Sorry, Pat.
What worker wants to take on a job and then immediately start an unfair dismissal?
Chances.
You know,
and there's a few of them.
The people who've decided that they don't want to be on benefits anymore, which, earn less money.
Or if they're forced to take a job having been on benefits.
Look, just to round us off in this section, by the way, we might as well stick with the Telegraph because it's been on there. We'll do some other topics, obviously, in the next section. But the Christmas jumpers one is quite good, isn't it? I mean, so Christmas jumpers could upset customers. HSBC tells staff. So they've banned staff from wearing Christmas jumpers over fear that they could upset customers. Apparently, he's told his employees not to wear them this year, because apparently they've had letters of complaint about it. And supposedly some of this is to do with if they're having to give people bad news.
But, Patrick, do you think it is that, or is it something else? Is there an elephant in the room here that this is about religion and culture, and that HSBC are simply kind of woke-washing because they think that certain parts of our demography might take offence to something that is Christian?
To Santa Claus?
No, to Christmas.
We're talking about Christmas sweaters.
To Christmas.
Here.
It is why, as Christos said earlier on, you've got a very appropriate name for this, by the way.
Thank you. They could be Santa Claus Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, no, but Christos said earlier on, we now don't have Christmas trees from Marks and Spencer's, we have winter trees and so on. I'm just saying, is it HSBC being woke and being concerned about them triggering customers based on them purporting something that is Christian as Christmas against the wishes of other demographics in society?
They're not Christian. There's no...
No, but I'm not saying whether it's right or not. I'm saying, is that in HSBC's mind insofar as why they're...
I wouldn't have
But why else do we now have winter festivals for certain councils, not Christmas
I don't agree
festivals?
with that.
No, I'm saying it's potentially the same thing.
I'm a practising Catholic. Of course I care about these things.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Christmas sweaters are particularly a Christian thing.
We don't, but HSBC might be concerned that other parts of their customer base do.
I think you're pushing it.
We are
asking a question.
Do you want me to read what HSBC said?
Go on, let's see what they say.
We're encouraging colleagues to celebrate Christmas in branches in lots of different ways, including decorating branches, team celebrations and festive lunches. However, it's important to remember branches are spaces where customers receive a range of specialist services that require professionalism and sensitivity. So this year we've asked colleagues in customer-facing roles not to wear Christmas jumpers to reflect this. Whether you believe that or not, I mean, I think that there
sounds like a PR's written that.
But hang on, I'm going to give you one little real-life anecdote. My ex-husband is a founder of Sky News, and one year he was in the newsroom. He was the news director, obviously head of news, and there was a terrible, terrible coach crash.
Oh. Yeah.
Where I think every child on the coach died because they put the arrow in the wrong way for the roadworks. It was very famous. And he walked into the newsroom and he took the Christmas tree down because he worried that when people watched the news and they saw this sparkly Christmas tree behind them, it would be tactless and insensitive.
Quite right.
Yeah. And that's a true story.
No, I get that. That's quite an extreme example, though, isn't it? Compared to walking in and being turned down for an overdraft.
However, it's true.
Don't you think?
However, it's true.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, but that is at the extremities
it's true.
of an anecdote.
Yeah. But
well, there we go. We'll see. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know really. I mean, I'm just trying to think practically. Would it really bother me if someone was giving me terrible financial news? You know, would I really care?
Well, if it was 4 days before Christmas or 5 days before Christmas, you kind of understand why they were in a Christmas jumper.
Can't they?
I mean, the R in this whole situation is I hate Christmas sweaters. I think they're...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you do appear to have a visceral disdain for the Christmas sweater, but very obvious in this.
I do. Well, look, I remember a couple of years ago we had that whole scandal where banks, I think it was NatWest was particularly, or an element of NatWest, was accused of having deliberately pushed some of its customers into liquidation. Now, if you're a bank and you're going to have to sit down with your customer and say, well, actually, we are now saying that we're going to withdraw our funds from you, and that's going to put you into liquidation. I don't think you'd want a Christmas...
What are these banks that now see people face to face? I think that's a bygone era, isn't it? I don't think they see people face to face.
Does it happen in other settings as well, though? Like, if you're being given your terminal illness diagnosis, does someone wear sort of reindeer ears for it with a nice...
Exactly.
I don't know, like...
I think sensitivity would demand that the doctor takes off the reindeer
tree down in the ward, would they? They wouldn't take the Christmas tree down in the ward, is the point.
But then it won't be that you're saying goodbye
because it's still Christmas. Otherwise, we end up with no Christmas.
Or they do the electric things on their heart, and there's a Christmas tree in the background.
All right.
You were bobbing along with the sleigh there, weren't you?
Good. All right, that's probably an appropriate time to end this. So, right, we are going to be talking about more of the front pages. You've got on the front of the Times, have Labour abandoned women and feminism? Mask up, apparently. It's flu season. You need to get your masks back on. England and Scotland World Cup draw as well. All of that and much more.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
People are getting married less because, society has changed. People are simply becoming more secular. And because they're becoming more secular, they don't view that marriage is a divine religious institution. And that more and more people have turned away from God, and because they've turned away from God, they don't view, the institution that has been the bedrock of society. So society has changed. People have moved away from religion or organized religion, and they just don't view it as a bedrock of religious religious growth. People don't think getting right with the Lord Jesus or having a pastor in their life as part of their marriage. Also, younger people today care more about their careers. They care more about financial stability. They care more about, having their own lives and their freedom than traditional marriage than it used to be. So it's just a big change of society today.
And Charlie Downs, does that matter? Are there negatives to being focused on career and choosing to shack up as opposed to get married in church?
Very much so. I mean, I like to think that I am slightly swimming against the tide because, there we go, I got married at the beginning of last month, and I'm 24. Aww. And the last time that the average age of marriage in this country was 24 was 60 years ago. The average age of marriage now is about 33 years old, which is a historic high. And I think this is largely because of the reasons that Pastor Mark outlined just now, which is that we don't actually understand as young people what marriage is.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight's late edition. Now, this Christmas, we are putting on a very special event for our wonderful viewers and listeners. On Saturday, the 13th of December, you are invited to join us for our Carols by Candlelight concert. For your chance to be with us, you can apply for tickets by scanning the QR code on the screen right now or by going to gbnews.com/carols. The concert will be broadcast on Christmas Eve, so I hope to see as many of you there as possible. It should be a good day. Right, so we are doing more newspapers, of course. Well, we've got, just to remind you what we've got the Times Labour quotes, let women down. The Eye as well have got wear a face mask if you feel ill, the public top. Should we do a bit on that, on the Eye weekend? I mean, I know we spoke about it a little bit in the last hour, but might as well go for it again. If you have flu-like symptoms, limit contact with others, especially those at higher risk. Wash your hands regularly, The only thing I will say about this is that, like, I don't know. Do you think there's a bit of fear-mongering going on here? A little bit of fear-mongering? Maybe. Maybe not. I know that the context of this, by the way, is that apparently there is a stronger strain of flu than normal, so I get that. I don't know. What do we think?
I do. I think it's a question of common sense. If you're vulnerable for whatever reason, either because of your age or because of an ailment you have, and you read and you understand from others that there is a particularly virulent flu going around, then obviously it's up to you to make sure that you guard yourself. But I don't think... I mean, I worry with this, Patrick, that this is kind of 2019-20 all over again. You know, this is how it started with COVID in terms of, let's start masking up and wash your hands and count to 10 and so on. And then all of a sudden we're locked down for the next 2 years of our lives. So I get very concerned and a bit suspicious about this kind of thing. I think it's a question of personal responsibility and common sense.
And that's what they did in Sweden during COVID, and actually their inquiry has now shown that they more or less had the right of...
I said that at the time because I think the Swedish effort was led by an epidemiologist who took the decision to let the disease just run through the population.
To dilute.
And just to protect the elderly people. Yes. And he was a veteran of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, so I think he probably did have the right idea.
But he got a lot of stick from it. He stood alone.
Oh, I know. I got a lot of stick from friends when I supported his line. But all I'm saying about this flu is that it is stronger than usual, and it does make... I don't like masks. I try to wear them, very infrequently. But I think it makes sense to take the precautions when you know that there is a serious strain of flu happening. If not, for yourself, to try and reduce the stress on already overburdened A&E departments, it would be, a service to your fellow human beings.
Can I just make one point? You're right about what happened in Sweden, but Sweden's population is extraordinarily different from the UK's. It's a much smaller population and much less densely packed into cities, and that's why they said that the Swedish option wouldn't have worked here.
Well, I don't know. That's
we would have actually got over COVID quicker.
Debatable.
We would have got over quicker.
The difference was that the Swedish effort was run by an epidemiologist directly, and he had overall leadership of the whole thing. Ours was not, and that made it much more complicated because there were political components in our campaign.
But apparently school absences are growing at the moment. The NHS is urged to tackle jab fatigue among some health workers, they say. Yeah, interesting. Whether or not the health workers are going for the flu jab. There was quite a big scandal, wasn't there, during the coronavirus crisis when some of them, quite a few of them actually didn't want to get the COVID jab. And
they were fired. They were fired.
I don't know if they've now been
I did a debate the other day about how they're offering the flu jab in a pub now. And I just think that I just think that's the last place you'd want to go. You want to have a vodka and tonic and a bit of peace and quiet. I don't want someone coming up to my table saying, "Do you want your flu jab?" No, leave me alone. I'm sick. I feel like it's almost bordering on harassment, the amount of texts I get about a flu jab. It's constant. It's like being in a bad relationship with none of the benefits. It's like, would you like your flu jab? Then I go to the doctor, would you like your flu jab? I get again another text, would you like your flu jab?
I think it's just you. Maybe they see you as vulnerable for some reason.
You're old enough to have the...
I have underlying health conditions.
Right, I see, OK.
So that's why. But, but also, don't mind them telling me about the flu jab. I'm not anti-jab, but I'm pro-choice. And ask me once, and I'll make my decision. Don't harass me.
OK. All right. Right, well, there we go. Can we just have a look at the Daily Express? Why not? And they've got for house market freeze, they say due to budget. Their picture story there is Kate's family carol service. OK, I mean, so we've got today the news that obviously Meghan Markle's, contacted her father, who's lost his leg, apparently. and is, I think, in quite a desperate state in hospital in the Philippines. You've got Kate and William and their children here on the front of several national newspapers, actually, attending the carol service. Family kind of united, I suppose, there, it would seem, anyway. So you like the way that they've been. She was your greatest Britain today, wasn't she, Kate?
She was, because I do think she's done a tremendous job, and when we forget, she's actually been treated with chemotherapy for cancer. She's in the first year of remission, so she still has some way to go, and yet she's out there with her family doing great stuff in the festive season. I think we're very lucky to have her.
OK, yeah, well, yeah, indeed. I do like seeing them all together. It's a bit sad.
So beautiful, isn't it?
You do like
children.
It's literally what we're about. You know, tradition, pomp and ceremony. I love it. Can I talk about the housing market a bit?
Yeah, go on then.
Because obviously that's my background is property. This isn't quite true, actually. So despite the fact that there were a lot of people in the property market that did hesitate, because obviously the budget was very, very, very trailed indeed, actually it hasn't suffered that much either in terms of price or transactional volume, apart from the top of the market. So, of course, now that we've had the budget delivered, and, you know, there's been, I guess, a little bit more venom towards the top end, it's definitely true to say that those that are selling above kind of £2 million now because of the mansion tax delivered through the council tax system, although 2 years away, that, in terms of sentiment, has not sent a good message to people that are aspirational, wealthy, and indeed overseas buyers that might otherwise have come here. In fact, there's a lot of people, a lot of wealth going, like Mittal, for instance, one of the richest men in the country, has gone, left.
He said that it was actually as well because of inheritance.
As well, tax generally.
But also, but surely then, you know, across the UK, that probably wouldn't have had a massive impact on the property market. But in London, where it's quite easy for a property to be...
Well, prime is being hurt. My point is actually
you can buy you can buy a house for £1.5 million in London. That will now be affected because someone would say, well, hang on, in a few years' time, that's going to then reach that 2 million threshold.
Well, maybe. But actually, sentiment in the bread and butter market, as we call it, anything under £1 million is actually OK. It's actually not been affected, despite the fact that there are economic headwinds that we've rehearsed a few times, I'm sure.
Well, goodness me, Russell and I are agreeing, but he's made a very good case for why the budget actually didn't damage the property market that much. And this is the time of year when actually people stop selling houses on the whole. You know, people don't want to be thinking about moving house over Christmas. It'll pick up again in the spring, and the real impact, I suspect, will probably be what we see around March, April time next year, as houses begin to come back onto the market, waiting for the summer rush.
And also when the Renters' Rights Bill
kicks in in May. There'll also be, I mean, and again, we will probably argue over the reasons, but the Bank of England probably this month will enact another reduction, and actually gilt yields after the budget did drop, which means that fixed rate mortgage costs have actually reduced.
And we have had 5 cuts in the interest rate in the past year.
And the Independent Bank of England.
Yes, but no, I wasn't. I was just saying we've had the 5 cuts. They do it for a reason, and that's helped the property market.
Cuts don't always equate to a healthy economy. We had interest rates cut after the financial crash in 2008, 2009. No one would say the economy was healthy.
Often they cut because of a poor economy.
So I'm just saying it's not because of the economy doing well.
All right. So coming up, we've got something, a bit of a surprise for you, actually, is this?
I came back from Israel last week and I have described them as the Hamas Broadcasting Corporation.
Well, Priti Patel is joining The Late Show live as she addresses this.
You came over on a small boat. Am I right about that?
Yeah. Well, Reform UK lodge an official complaint now against the BBC because they had asylum seekers who arrived in this country illegally on BBC Question Time. So we might talk about that when we come back, actually.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. This weekend is looking unsettled with heavy downpours. The only good news is, though, it's staying relatively mild. That's because we've got southwesterly winds, but that is where the rain is coming from. So some very wet weather pushing into western areas through the rest of this evening, and that will move into the north and east overnight tonight, bringing some snow to the high ground of the Grampians. Elsewhere, though, a lot of rain. There will likely be quite a lot of water on the roads through your travel this evening and into tomorrow morning. Once the main rain band clears, that gives way way to some heavy and blustery showers. And with strong winds overnight, temperatures will be holding up above freezing just about everywhere. But it does mean we are going to continue to see some further rainfall throughout Saturday. Some quite strong winds actually moving in across eastern areas of Scotland, and with the rain continuing to feed in, we could see some disruption here across eastern areas of Aberdeenshire. Further west, we've got some heavy showers across northern England. Northern Ireland seeing a slightly drier day, but western areas of Wales, the south of Wales in particular, parts of Devon and Cornwall will see some quite gusty winds throughout Saturday. And these showers do bring a risk of hail and thunderstorms on Saturday. There will be some dry weather around though, actually. Once the main rain clears actually in the north, much of Scotland will see relatively dry weather, and there will be some sunshine here and there across central areas. And as I said, it is on the milder side of things, 10 or 11 degrees. Some areas seeing 12 degrees actually through Saturday afternoon. So not too bad, but definitely a pretty unsettled weekend. A cold start though on Sunday morning, and then the next band of rain bringing another spell of heavy downpours throughout Sunday afternoon across the country, particularly actually this time across northern areas moves in. Now that will clear for some respite on Monday, but the next batch of wet and for some of us very windy weather arrives on Tuesday.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition, and I'm going to take us stateside straight away, actually, because the Late Show Live with Ben Leo is, well, it's a very, very special edition, isn't it, Ben? What have you got?
Hello, Patrick. Yes, special not because of the snow falling behind me, and indeed it's been falling in DC today. Absolutely freezing cold. Yeah, Priti Patel has been chatting to TV's Bev Turner today for an exclusive interview. Lots of Conservatives are in town this week for a conference, and Priti Patel, of course, the Home Secretary under Boris Johnson, sat down with Bev today for quite a lengthy chat. In it, she talked about, well, amongst other things, the BBC, and not least what happened last night on Question Time, which still 24 hours on, Patrick, absolutely blows my mind. I think it's one of the most despicable things the BBC has done in recent years, and bearing in mind their record, that says something. Also, interestingly, the key line that I took from the interview is Priti was asked by Bev what the Conservatives need to do to regain the trust of GB News viewers, bearing in mind what happened under the Tories last time round. Stay tuned tonight on The Late Show Live, because Priti replied that she doesn't need to convince GB News viewers because of something, something, something. I'm not going to tell you the answer now, of course, because I want you to tune in, but I thought it was a really interesting reply that she doesn't need to convince GB News viewers. Can you guess why, maybe? Elsewhere, Bev took her to town on Priti was slamming the authoritarian nature of this Labour government, citing things such as digital ID. Bev quite rightly hit back by saying, well, look, you were in power, the Conservatives, during COVID, one of the most authoritarian times of recent memory. So, yeah, stay tuned for it. It's going to be in two parts. Elsewhere, Meghan Markle's father, of course, is feeling a bit under the weather, to say the least. He's in hospital. Her stepsister or half-sister, Samantha Markle, has tonight, in the last couple of minutes, spoken out. And elsewhere, I froze my little tootsies off today at the World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. We waited for 2 hours in the freezing cold. Thank you, FIFA. Had great fun doing that. And, yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into the analysis of our groups and what could happen here stateside for the World Cup in 26.
Brilliant stuff. All right, well, it's action-packed. Thank you very, very much, Ben Leo. It's going to be a great great show. Let's zone in a bit on this BBC Question Time thing as well. So if you're just joining us, basically there were two people who entered Britain illegally. One man was Afghan, one man is Iranian. And they were in the Question Time audience. Both, I believe, had arrived via small boat and had now been given indefinitely to remain, I think, or refugee status. So that's what happened. What do we make of it? You know, it was a migration special. It was in Dover. The BBC acknowledged that they'd kind of gone looking for them, so they'd obviously put some feelers out. I don't know whether they had some contacts with them. Did you think it was a bit odd or not really?
I can't see what the fuss is about. Sorry, I can't. It was an immigration special in Dover, which was discussing the small boat crisis. Could it have been slightly better handled? Probably. And could they have had, perhaps, if they wanted to hear all voices in the debate, as I said earlier, I would have invited some of the Pink Ladies, I would have invited some of the people who were a part of the protests outside of Epping, also to perhaps have been specially invited audience members. I would have had that. But actually, free speech sometimes means hearing from people that you know you're not going to agree with. Again, they had refugee status by then, and they were there to answer those questions. So I think, personally, I don't think that Reform should be complaining so much about this. It was part of it was an immigration special.
I agree with you completely. I mean, I really want to hear what they've got to say for themselves. But apart from that, they're an unavoidable component of the story.
The debate.
You've got to put them in the debate.
Yeah, I want to know why Zia Yusuf. What I want to know is the answer to the question that he was asked by the people, because Zia Yusuf didn't give an answer to that.
What was that one? Sorry?
That was about when people have been in this country legally. They're refugees, they've got status, they're working, they've been here for 10 years, working in our health service or wherever they are. Are you at that stage, you've said you are going to deport them out of the country? Is that what you're really going to do?
No, that is not the policy. So the policy is if you work and you contribute, you can apply for citizenship, and you'll have to do that over a period of time. So residency, then citizenship. If you are a consumer, then it is unlikely...
How long?
Hang on, it is indefinitely. Indefinitely, because if you are a burden to the country...
No, I mean, how long do you have to wait?
Hang on.
So you can be thrown out of the country when?
Not thrown out. If you are someone that comes here and does not contribute, so you are a net taker rather than a net contributor, if you then fail to go through the process for residency / citizenship, then you frankly shouldn't be here. That is the policy. And that's common sense. And actually a policy that we know is actually supported by the majority of the British public. Because we should be a country that thinks about ourselves and our population and the economy as a consequence of that, rather than being effectively a dumping ground for the rest of the third world to sponge off of British taxpayers.
Do you deny that your leader, Nigel Farage, and Zia Yusuf, actually, at various times, have said that they would not only get rid of the people who are in the country and are illegal, but they would get rid of people who are on indefinite leave to remain? Here legally...
Indefinite leave to remain will go.
Here legally...
That ILR will no longer exist.
Yeah, but they've been granted that status, so you can't retrospectively ungrant it.
You can if you're in government, Barry. That's what governments do.
Oh, interesting. So you will abolish the legal status that they have.
Yes.
And you will then be happy to deport people from this country. This was the question he was asked.
If they were not born here, they come here and they are not contributing, then they will leave the country, yes.
The question he was asked was when they're working and contributing to the economy.
No, hang on, I've been very clear.
He didn't answer it.
I've been very clear. I'm answering it, I think, very clearly.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Why
didn't he?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not his handler. I'm not his comms guy.
But
I'm just telling you what the policy is.
You are representing the Reform Party, which he is the policy chief of. So why didn't the policy chief articulate the policy?
You have to take it up with Zia when you see him, as I'm sure he's in the House of Commons frequently.
I'm sure I will.
Well, I hardly had to do any work there, so thank you very much. Brilliant. If you carry that on into the next section, then we're home. Right, OK, on the issue of BBC Question Time, a spokesperson told GB News, as immigration continues to be a primary concern for people in the UK, Question Time held a special episode in Dover with panellists from across the political spectrum and a local audience with a range of views and experiences. Over 20 audience members asked questions and contributed to the debate, including 2 people with direct experience of the asylum system in the UK who've been granted refugee status. So there we go. Right, well, there's lots to talk about when we come back as well. Nigel Farage is on the front of The Guardian again. How much is too much to pay for a pint? Well, good. We're going to reveal Britain's most expensive pint next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Further wet and windy weather likely in Greece and Turkey during the course of the weekend. Some heavy downpours, particularly across southern parts of Turkey, extending into Cyprus. Also, as I mentioned, gusty winds. The breeze coming down from the north, bringing a cool feel to Italy, but should see plenty of sunshine here. Same goes for Mallorca and much of the east coast of Spain. If you want temperatures over 20 degrees, you need to be heading further south. Some fine warm conditions in the Canaries. Those heavy showers only slowly easing this weekend in Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
All right, welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight's late edition. So we're going to reveal, the most expensive pint in Britain, I believe. It's a pub in Stratford-upon-Avon, and it's serving what may be Britain's expensive beer. It's £75 a pint.
Is this Labour's cost of living crisis?
No, it's a stout that's so strong it's sold in thirds. Yabard, nice, secured one of just 2 European kegs of Blessed. or blessed, I suppose, a 21% imperial stout from Alaska. At £25 a serving, drinkers get to keep the glass, and the owner expects all 105 pours to sell out. Right, value for money?
Well, I mean, it must taste disgusting,
Yeah,
mustn't
horrible.
it? 21%.
21%.
It'll be horrible, won't it?
That's half as strong as a whiskey.
Yeah. It's stronger than wine. What's wine? 13 to 15?
I suppose it does a job, doesn't it?
Very quickly. Very quickly.
It's the Route 1 approach.
What was that you were saying about injections in a pub?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe this is the anaesthetic.
No, I think this is the intravenous.
Yes, possibly. What do you make? Would you?
I mean, I only really drink vodka, so I mean, I think that sounds completely just. You know, I could down a few of them.
But a third of a pint at a time, would you?
I could drink a third of a pint of vodka very easily. So.
Yeah. In my younger days, I
do encourage everyone to drink very responsibly.
Yeah. Well, yes. Of course we do. Would you pay that much for the experience of a third of a pint? 25 quid for a third?
I've bought some very expensive whiskey before now in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Islay whiskey. I absolutely love it, but I can't stand stout or beer or anything like that. I think it's like dishwater.
No. OK, fair enough.
I like
All right.
a Corona.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very...
Oh, hang on, is this the other beers are available bit now, is it?
Yeah.
So, you know, they want to send me some. No.
Let's revisit it for The Guardian. Ex-Dulwich pupil says Farage told me, quotes, that's the way to Africa. It's the latest in a story, a series of stories. Now, Nigel Farage yesterday really massively pushed back on this, you know, slammed the BBC for... well, I suppose what he would argue is hypocrisy, really, because their highest-rated show, I believe, for a period of time was things like the Black and White Minstrel Show, at the same time that Nigel is alleged to have said some of the stuff that he said at school.
But it's not the BBC that's accusing him.
No, it's not.
So, I mean, why push back? I mean, that's
just... It was a BBC journalist that asked the question.
But that's just sort of distraction tactics. The key point is, did he say it? If he didn't say it, then he should be clear about that. But what he said is, I've never said anything racist with malice. Now, if you say something racist...
It feels completely and utterly politically motivated, this, and organised. There is someone behind the scenes orchestrating this. Because, I mean, we're saying that all of these people have just happened to still be on some school WhatsApp group 50 years later.
Believe it or not, journalists go to your schoolmates and they say, oh, what was he like at school?
How do they know? How do they know who Nigel Farage was at school 50 years ago with? I mean, what are we going to see next? You know, the midwife that helped deliver Nigel Farage. He weed on her or something as he came out of the womb, and as a consequence, she wants some compensation.
This is all distraction.
It's ridiculous.
This is distraction, Russell.
That's what they call what about?
You know, yeah.
No, but it's ridiculous because it's 50 years ago.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Should we start talking about Keir Starmer and his fateful trip and his stay in that Czechoslovakian communist camp from a few years back? Should we now judge Keir Starmer as a communist because he stayed with communists in Czechoslovakia back in the 80s?
When you look at his policies...
Well, there you go. Let's talk about that a bit, shall we?
How did you come to know about that? Because a journalist did some digging, and that's exactly what we've got.
Yeah, but they didn't go and find 50 other people that were there with him.
I mean, I think Farage's answer, where he did reference I thought it was very smart of him, actually, and there was some credence to it. I mean, if a BBC journalist asks you about that stuff, and it is unforgivable if he said that stuff, but it was a long time ago, we should also remember the context. But also, the Black and White Minstrel Show ran till 1978.
Yeah.
What year are we talking about that this apparently happened?
Yeah, it's around then, isn't it?
It's 1980, actually, because he was 16 years of age and he was born in 64.
You know, it's the same age as Brad Pitt.
Really?
They look similar as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. He's the same age as Brad Pitt. Do you think this is going to... So, look, they're going to keep running with this kind of stuff, Linda. How much of an impact do you see this having practically at the polls?
I don't think it will have a massive impact at all. And I don't think, from a journalistic point of view, it's got enough legs to roll on for much longer.
Because it's hearsay.
To be quite honest, I think it'll run out of steam.
I do find the timing of it quite odd. Just not from anything to do with the accusers, but just weird. You know, given that he's been in the public eye for a very, very long time, you've had numerous different situations where I would have thought, you know, there would be opportunity to bring this up.
Well, Brexit particularly.
We're still quite a way away from the local elections. It's normally the kind of thing you get clobbered with just before an election.
Yeah. But why don't this come out in 2015-16?
Too long a time frame here. It's like if someone said, you know, that Keir Starmer once, before this election, had to carry the Ming vase across the tiled floor. We've got... there's a long, long time before Nigel Farage gets to the point when he can actually win. So this will all run at a road.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. That's that then. Linda sorted it. That's it. There's no... It won't affect him. There you are. Right, I think
I'll have to eat my words next week.
Well, yeah. I don't think he's going to go anywhere over this, is he? Right, OK. So, there we go. Shall we just talk a little bit about the World Cup draw to round us off? So, he's on the front of the Mirror and on the front of the Sun. Barry's happy, as he was saying. Yeah, he gets to play Brazil twice, once for Scotland in the group and then once in the final. Brilliant. We've got Croatia again, Panama and Ghana. Give
us your expert analysis.
No, the World Cup I'm absolutely into. I think that's a very, very good draw. Other than Croatia, of course, which are traditionally quite good team. But I love the World Cup.
Sorry, what's happening here? What's happening?
Euro 96 was when I first got into the Euros and international football. 98, of course, you had the Beckham, on the bum.
What are you reading?
I'm not reading anything. Look, that's the Your Say page. So
hang on, An Idiot's Guide to Football you're reading. An Idiot's Guide to Football.
I love that. It was, that was the era that I...
Well, the pressure's on, though, seriously, because it's, the whole point of getting rid of Gareth Southgate and getting Tuchel in was that this guy's going to win us the World Cup. So it's got that...
I wouldn't have got rid of Southgate.
Really?
Yeah, because I think we had consistency with him. He got us to the final, but he got so much stick. And actually, we were getting better every single time. It was only because we got to the final by not actually playing that well, sort of by default.
I think he wanted to go, though.
I think maybe he got sick of all the scrutiny and all of the hassle, because we never let anyone just, finish a job. And I think we could have done with him.
But not sick of the 3 or 4 million quid a year he was paid? Well, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, maybe. But I think we could have kept him.
I'm in the minority that I don't care about football at all, thank goodness. It doesn't keep me up at night.
Really? Oh, there you are. So look, sorry, I'm going to have to do the roundup now, then we're going to get to Menlia. So we've got The Guardian, as you know, ex-Dulwich pupil Farage told me that that's the way to Africa, the Daily Mail. Dementia kills 1 in 9. It's time to end cruel injustices. The FT, Netflix seals $83 billion Warner Brothers deal. The Mirror, England's World Cup 2025 draw. The Express, house market freeze due to the budget. The Times, Labour let women down. Telegraph, streeting Rayner and the Pact for number 10. And The Sun, that's gonna be tough about the World Cup draw. Let's go to Ben Leo for The Late Show Live.
Thank you, Patrick. Actually, I'm looking forward to speaking to Christo about football. I didn't know he knew so much about it, breaking all those stereotypes. Elsewhere, big interview with Priti Patel tonight on The Late Show Live. Do not miss it. Some really stark lines coming from her, not least about the BBC. And President Trump has taken a rather barbed dig at the UK and our surrender tactics to migration. All that and more in just a tick.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health, Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country. Well, that's it from me. So, across the front pages here, there is talk of a plot to oust Keir Starmer, Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner teaming up to form an unstoppable duo that will get Keir Starmer out of Downing Street. But let's go stateside now to Washington, D.C, because Ben Lingham's got an absolute cracker of a show lined up for us, haven't you, Ben?
Patrick, sorry to hijack this. First things first, what's your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, A Fairy Tale of New York.
OK, good. It's got me thinking tonight. I was watching a rerun of The Snowman and I did a Daubney and had a little cry and thought, do you know what? Snowman's my favourite. Anyway, on more serious matters, big interview coming up with Priti Patel. Bev Turner has sat down with the former Home Secretary. She discussed everything from migration, the Labour government, the BBC and the future of Great Britain. And elsewhere, Donald Trump, he reposted on Truth Social yesterday a rather barbed tweet aimed at the UK, basically saying the UK has surrendered its nation to migration. And I just thought, you know, it's interesting, the stark contrast between Trump and Starmer in public. President Trump very complimentary, but behind the scenes, he doesn't seem to really like him at all. Let's do this. This is The Late Show Live. Hello, good evening to you. Exclusively on The Late Show Live tonight, Priti Patel lands in Washington, D.C. and says America's doing conservatism properly.
Refreshing, and this is really the key thing. Public back home, they're crying out for change, actually. Yeah.
She also tortures Sadiq Khan, hitting out at crime, filthy streets and the police.
It pains me when I see what Sadiq Khan has done to our great city.
And she claims President Trump is stealing her migration plan.
It's the President of the United States, President Trump, who has adopted one of my policies, which was the Rwanda proposal.
And of course, it wouldn't be a Conservative Party interview without hitting out at Reform UK.
Talk and talk and talk. Number one, they've got no experience. They have no idea what it is like to enact legislation in the way in which I have.
Facial recognition, digital ID. Dame Priti also called out Labour's Britain as a surveillance state.
When it comes to digital ID, we've been out there from the get-go in terms of rejecting it and saying it is simply not right.
And she also hit out at David Lammy's plans to scrap jury trials.
What an absolute affront to, justice.
Elsewhere, pressed on pandemic overreach, Dame Priti insisted the Conservatives have a new course and won't repeat it.
We can't keep on looking backwards. Yes, you learned the lessons. We're doing that right now.
And she delivered a bombshell new line on the BBC.
I came back from Israel last week and I have described them as the Hamas Broadcasting Corporation.
And, of course, she explodes at the corporation for platforming an illegal migrant last night, and I still can't believe they did this, on Question Time.
Let me just say this now, that is outrageous.
And Dame Prissy admits what politicians are too scared to say.
Do they make the country less safe?
The answer is yes, of course they do.
And she doesn't take any prisoners when it comes to telling us what she really thinks about delays to elections.
Absolutely appalling, and it tells us everything we need to know about what is, quite frankly now, an authoritarian socialist government in the United Kingdom.
And of course, we're live in Washington, D.C. tonight, just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about and that matter to Britain too, including a dramatic late twist. GB News learns the Duchess of Sussex has finally reached out to her father, Thomas, who's now fighting for his life in intensive care. And within the last few minutes, Samantha Markle has hit out at the Duke and Duchess with a rather bombshell attack. Stay tuned for that. But also tonight,
Please welcome the very first winner of the FIFA Peace Prize, the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
well, I waited long enough to get in there today. 2 hours in the freezing cold snow. Thank you very much, FIFA. Appreciate that. GB News had inside access to today's huge World Cup drama. Scotland get Brazil, England get Croatia, and President Trump, well, he got FIFA's first ever Peace Prize. We'll bring you all the reaction. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and our night's just getting started. Hello, hope you're well. Thank you for your company, because tonight a big exclusive interview straight out of Washington, D.C. Former Home Secretary Priti Patel's here, and she's not holding back. She says America is doing conservatism better than Britain. She blasts Sadiq Khan for turning London into a crime-ridden mess. She claims Labour has lost control of borders, and she takes aim at Reform UK, saying they're talk, 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 and can't deliver a thing. Plus, an explosive attack on the BBC, and why she thinks President Trump is proving her right on migration. This is what Dame Priti exclusively told The Late Show Live.
Priti Patel, it is so nice to see you in Washington, D.C. Why are you here?
So I'm here doing my shadow foreign secretary role. I'm meeting like-minded conservatives, basically, from political parties around the world. I'm attending something called the International Democracy Union Conference.
Sounds thrilling.
But it's full of leaders from our sister parties. So good conservative values, beliefs, you know, those of us that are big champions of enterprise, strong economies, freedom, Bev, you know, all those core values that basically have made us such successful political parties in the past. And what better place to do it than in Washington?
And how different does it feel to you here, the political mood? Because it strikes me every single day that those true conservative values are being lived out, not just talked about, but actually enacted in policy. And there's a belief system that runs through this government which is just so well defined.
You know what, it's refreshing, and this is really the key thing. I think probably the public here, I know the public back home, they're crying out for change, actually, because they want people that will deliver, but also people with experience. And you know, the administration here, guess what? The president has previous experience, and he's brought it back with new gusto to the United States here and to the people in Washington. What I've really noticed, other than the weather is still as cold as it was when I was here for inauguration, it's probably not as cold, but even so, the snow and all the rest of it, is that when I came here in January, Washington, you know, still had a homelessness problem. It had a lot of the type of scenes, I'm afraid, we see in London, for example. And coming back now, the streets are cleaned up, people can walk around freely. You know, there is a different feel to this city, and it is a political city, obviously, because it's the heart of the administration. But it feels very businesslike, very practical. things are getting done and things are moving forward.
Now, if Keir Starmer was here or Sadiq Khan and they could hear you talking about England and London like that, they would be saying, well, hang on a minute, we've only been there for just over getting on to a year and a half. That all happened under the Conservatives. What would you say to
Well,
that?
I'm afraid they haven't got a leg to stand on. And let's talk about London. So I was Home Secretary and I was involved in helping to clear up the Park Lane operations. You remember everything that went on, Tent City down there?
It was the Tent City, the illegal
we actually
migrants.
took action. We took action against that. And as someone that, was born in London, my entire professional working life has been in London, it pains me when I see what Sadiq Khan has done to our great city. London is a fantastic city. I've travelled the world, even my professional background previously, and so coming back to London has always been a great, great boost. You see it now. Guess what? Riven with crime. We have a Mayor of London that failed to meet his policing targets when I was Home Secretary and we were recruiting 20,000 more police officers. He couldn't even meet the targets that we'd set him to recruit more officers. He's clearly lost control of policing when it comes to law and order. Rubbish piling up in the streets. More Labour London councils, and there are London elections